Chapter 728 Crushing Tier 11 Seeking Subscriptions _2 But by then, it was already too late. Until the very end, the life from the Ice Clan had never bowed their head. This being from the Ice Clan understood that the only hope for escaping from this two-dimensional world lay in the exotic treasure they held in their hand. Now that the Tuoba ancient god had taken the treasure, even if they promised to spare their life, there was no way they could leave successfully. Rather than that, it was better to detonate themselves and leave the stage. These weaklings boast about their good luck and chance discovery of exotic treasures. Little do they know that these exotic treasures can only exhibit their true power in our hands. The Tuoba ancient god spoke, his gaze frosty. In the coming time, let us comb through the Shuiyu ancient country thoroughly. If we can obtain any additional exotic treasures, you will also have a share. Good. The other unique beings exchanged glances and nodded in agreement. Exotic treasures are naturally reclusive, even if they are within their perception range. They could not be detected. So, directly searching for exotic treasures is very difficult because you fundamentally don't know what they look like. Go to Kobut for over 100 years. As information about the exotic treasures spread among the myriad tribes' powerhouses, many of them searched for these treasures. The myriad tribes' powerhouses spread throughout the two-dimensional world. Widely searching for exotic treasures was as difficult as ascending to the heavens, but searching for myriad tribes' powerhouses was not. Most powerhouses couldn't catch the eye of Tuoba ancient god and other special beings, but it must be admitted that even the weakest from the main universe possessed good insight. If they were lucky, even a Tier 8 life has the hope of obtaining an exotic treasure. This was also why the Tuoba ancient god and other special beings hunted the myriad tribes' powerhouses. First, to clear the field, and second, for the exotic treasures. As to whether they would encounter an iron wall by meeting stronger myriad tribes' powerhouses than themselves, the probability was very, very small. With the Tuoba ancient god and other special beings joining forces, the only myriad tribes' powerhouses that could threaten them were the top 9 ranks among them. But these 9 strong beings were heavily watched by many other myriad tribes' powerhouses. They only needed to avoid those few areas, and they could be described as completely safe. Calculating the time, in at most 2 years, we would have searched through most of the Shuiyu ancient country. Pei Xin, who was carrying a pitch-black iron staff, was about to continue speaking when, suddenly, his complexion slightly changed. He abruptly looked in one direction. 10 miles away, a terrifying aura suddenly erupted. Sarch * the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Boom! 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 The owner of this aura seemed to rip through the air, approaching at nearly 10 times the speed of sound, causing a rolling thunderous boom in its wake. Did a powerhouse discover us prematurely? Pei Xin's expression turned solemn as the owner of the aura headed straight for their location. The only possibility being that they knew of their presence here. Discovering them beforehand meant that the opponent's perceptual range was broader than theirs. The perceptual range generally correlates with one's strength and realm. Of course, Pei Xin wasn't worried. They were 6 in total, and both he and Tuoba possessed exotic treasures. Even if they really encountered myriad tribes' powerhouses stronger than them, as long as it wasn't at the level of the top 9 powerhouses, they feared nothing. The distance of 10 miles was very short, especially at nearly 10 times the speed of sound. In just the span of a breath, that figure had already arrived in front of Tuoba ancient god and the group. Tuoba ancient god and the other 5 special beings did not scatter to escape. Doing so would have given this myriad tribe's powerhouse the chance to defeat them one by one. Lin Yuan stopped, looking warily at the 6 special beings scrutinizing him. When the myriad tribe's powerhouses fell into the two-dimensional world, not only were all their powers downgraded, but even their body shapes and sizes conformed to the appearance of mainstream humans in this world. Boom! Lin Yuan didn't waste words. He directly made a move, sweeping down with a palm strike. The air subtly became viscous. Lin Yuan did not attack the strongest Tuoba ancient god and Pei Xin, but aimed at the other 4 slightly weaker special beings instead. It wasn't that he feared Tuoba ancient god and Pei Xin. Rather, he planned to leave all 6 behind. First to take out the weaker ones, preventing them from scattering and escaping later. Not good. The four special beings only felt their scalps tingle. Under Lin Yuan's palm strike, although no extraordinary phenomena appeared and no cosmic rules were manipulated, in their eyes, it was as if the heavens were falling. Although these four special beings were of the 10th realm and the 11th realm, being Tier 11 lifeforms in the outside world, they still had the most basic awareness. The moment Lin Yuan attacked them, they realized that facing him head-on meant certain death. Retreat. The four special beings hesitated not a moment and scattered in all directions. But Lin Yuan's palm strike was far faster than their retreat. Shra. The special being on the far left was directly hit by the palm. Bang! This special being felt as if all his internal organs had been shattered. His body, refined over 100 years or more, under that palm strike, was as fragile as thin paper easily torn apart. Lin Yuan's palm strike penetrated one special being and did not stop, continuing at undiminished speed toward the second and third special beings. Take action. Pei Shen next to him decisively rushed out, wielding the pitch-black iron staff, aiming it at Lin Yuan. The pitch-black iron staff faintly radiated black light. In this two-dimensional world, only these inherently 12-star strange treasures weapons could somewhat break free from the world's oppressive downgrading. Boom! The next moment, the iron staff vibrated continuously, nearly flying out of Pei Shen's grasp. You! Pei Shen looked at Lin Yuan in shock. Under his full-force strike, Lin Yuan had not even stepped back, only slightly hindered in his assault. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 729 Crushing Tier 11, Seeking Subscriptions, _3 But he himself had only sustained minor injuries, and he almost lost control of the iron rod strange artifact in his hand. So be it. First, I'll kill you. Lin Yuan's gaze shifted towards Pei Shen, and his figure silently disappeared. Not good. Pei Shen's heart raced, and before he could react, a figure materialized beside him. Die! Lin Yuan raised his right hand and reached out to grab Pei Shen. Get away! Pei Shen, in a mix of shock and anger, swung his pitch-black iron rod, desperately resisting. Clang! 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 Lin Yuan forcefully grabbed the iron rod glowing with pitch-black light. It abruptly stopped, then with a gentle tap, the iron rod smashed into Pei Shen's chest. Go to. No! Pei Shen's eyes bulged, understanding the might of the pitch-black iron rod all too well. But in the next moment, the rod smashed into his chest. In a daze, Pei Shen felt his heart rupture and many other internal organs turn to dust, and even his consciousness quickly began to slip away. In the main world, Pei Shen was a powerful ancient god of 11th rank 5th tier, and even with his physical body shattered, he could easily recover. But in the two-dimensional world, where everything was ordinary, his injuries such as organ dust were fatal, let alone a ruptured heart. He wouldn't survive long. The only reason he was not yet dead was because of the strong support of his spirit will. I possess an attacking strange artifact. Pei Shen could not comprehend. The attack of the strange artifact was unparalleled. Yet each strike with the pitch-black iron rod was effortlessly blocked by Lin Yuan. What kind of monster was this powerhouse of the myriad tribes' powerhouses? Pei Shen could not continue his thoughts as the brilliance in his eyes quickly faded, and he fell to the ground with a thud. Strange artifacts are not invincible. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly, casually stowing away the pitch-black iron rod. 100 years ago, strange artifacts were decisive for the powerhouses of the myriad tribes. At that time, Hou Zhu, who was ranked second among the 9 powerhouses, relied on a blood-colored long knife artifact. But 100 years later, while Hou Zhu still ranked among the 9 powerhouses, he had fallen to 9th place. The stronger the strength, the higher the tier, the weaker the effect of the strange artifacts becomes. Of course, in a battle of the same tier, the one with a strange artifact would definitely have a greater advantage. Not far away, Tuoba Ancient God couldn't help but take a few steps back, looking at Lin Yuan with some trepidation. Pei Shen's strength was not inferior to his, and with the pitch-black iron rod, his combat ability was downright terrifying. But in the hands of Lin Yuan, he couldn't even last 2 breaths. This scene made the originally planning to rescue Tuoba ancient god tremble inside. He hadn't even made his move, and Pei Xin was already dead? Run! Tuoba ancient god did not hesitate to turn around and run. The remaining 3 special beings also reacted, but they were quickly killed by Lin Yuan with a slap. "You can't escape," Lin Yuan said as he chased after Tuoba ancient god. In terms of sensory coverage, he was twice as large as Tuoba ancient god, and in terms of full burst speed, he far exceeded Tuoba ancient god. Soon, Lin Yuan approached Tuoba ancient god from behind and slapped him directly. This slap, if placed on Pei Xin earlier, would have left him either dead or incapacitated. But it landed on Tuoba ancient god's back, causing the latter's figure to tremble, and then, using the force of the slap, he escaped even faster into the distance. That defensive artifact? Lin Yuan was not surprised, having first dealt with those 4 special beings and Pei Xin. Putting Tuoba ancient god last was because of the defensive artifact that Tuoba ancient god possessed. Tuoba ancient god, with his defensive artifact, was definitely the hardest to kill out of the 6 special beings. "My lord, there is no deep hatred between us. As long as you let me go, I am willing to pay any price," Tuoba ancient god pleaded while continuing his frantic flight. The any price here referred to what the true body of Tuoba ancient god in the main universe was willing to pay. Any price? Lin Yuan was unmoved. Could any price be comparable to the defensive artifact on Tuoba ancient god? Once this defensive artifact returned to the main universe, even supreme beings would envy it. "If your honor is not satisfied, the terms are negotiable," Tuoba ancient god said, anxiety filling his heart. In his eyes, Lin Yuan, bursting forth with such strength, was definitely a powerhouse on the level of Mother of the Tree Realm or the 4 divine kings in the cosmic starry skies. Tuoba ancient god frantically fled, occasionally taking a hit from Lin Yuan, flying away like a rubber ball. The chase between the 2 quickly drew the attention of other powerhouses from myriad clans, as Tuoba ancient god and the other special beings searched the Shuiyu ancient country. Powerhouses from myriad clans within the ancient country, having received the news, naturally steered clear well in advance. But the commotion from the chase was too great, the aura, far surpassing that of which ancestor, rippled out in all directions. Moreover, with the death of the 4 special beings and Pei Xin, when their true bodies in the main universe went public with this incident, it sparked extensive discussions among many powerhouses of the myriad clans. Tuoba ancient god, that's an 11th rank 5th tier special being. Pei Xin is also of the same level, and the 2 together, along with 4 other 11th rank beings, were chased by an unseen powerhouse from myriad clans. Not chased, out of the 6 special beings, Pei Xin and the other 4 are already dead. Only Tuoba ancient god remains. Right, Tuoba ancient god's survival till now is probably due to that defensive artifact, otherwise, he would have probably died just like Pei Xin at the hands of that mysterious powerhouse. Sar the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Many powerhouses of myriad clans exchanged words and couldn't help feeling schadenfreude. The vast majority of powerhouses from myriad clans were 8th, 9th, or 10th rank, and they were extremely afraid of being hunted by special beings like Tuoba ancient god. But now, Tuoba ancient god and his peers were being overwhelmingly chased by that mysterious powerhouse from myriad clans. These slightly weaker powerhouses from myriad clans felt a sense of relief. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 730. This is just the beginning. Please subscribe. Boom, boom, boom. Tuoba ancient god frantically fled, constantly under attack by Lin Yuan along the way. Even with a defensive artifact protecting him, it was somewhat hard to bear. Lin Yuan's each hit, though blocked by the defensive artifact by 99%, still had a slight impact force infiltrating. Here, slight refers to what would be a full force hit from Lin Yuan. For Tuoba ancient god, that slight impact still caused his internal organs to churn. Accumulating hit after hit, Tuoba Ancient God was actually dragged to the verge of severe injury. This monster, who in the cosmic starry skies is an 11th rank perfect life? Tuoba Ancient God felt extremely aggrieved. Facing Lin Yuan, he had no ability to resist. If not for depending on the defensive artifact, he would have already collapsed. Being able to possess such strength in this two-dimensional world in just 100+ years, to Tuoba Ancient God, only those legendary beings at the extreme limit of level 11 perfection seemed possible. But Tuoba Ancient God was puzzled. He had lived through long ages, born since the beginning of the cosmos, and he was somewhat aware of any considerably strong 11th rank life within the universe. Go to just Lin Yuan? Tuoba Ancient God was merely puzzled since the powerhouses of the myriad clans in the two-dimensional world, unless they spoke up themselves, were hard for outsiders to recognize. The top-ranked 4 divine kings were easily identified due to their extremely distinctive features and terrifying strength. As for other powerhouses, they came from various major peak clans and had interactions among themselves, which made it difficult to hide. Indeed, there were myriad clans powerhouses who truly secluded themselves away from worldly affairs, but it was rare for someone like Lin Yuan to cultivate to such strength without ever showing themselves. Behind Tuoba Ancient God, Lin Yuan was in close pursuit. If it weren't for this two-dimensional world, how much time would I need to grow to my current state, to the extent of chasing down Tuoba Ancient God? Lin Yuan felt slightly sentimental. In the two-dimensional world, even an 11th rank peak life was forcibly brought down in starting point. This allowed Lin Yuan, with just over 100 years, to surpass Tuoba Ancient God, a special life at the 11th rank 5th tier. You should know, every life that could step into tier 11 was an extraordinary genius, far beyond the strong ones Lin Yuan had previously encountered in other dimensional worlds. It's time to end this. Lin Yuan's gaze sharpened slightly. The pursuit along the way, every hit Lin Yuan landed on Tuoba Ancient God was slowly accumulating, with the residual force all hiding deep within Tuoba Ancient God's body. Directly through the defensive artifact to attack Tuoba Ancient God, although it could exhaust the opponent to death, it would inevitably take a lot of time. But bursting from inside was much faster. Since the first hit landed on that defensive artifact, Lin Yuan had been preparing for this moment. Break! Lin Yuan struck again, his blood boiling, like a heaven-reversing seal pressing down on Tuoba Ancient God. Again! Tuoba Ancient God's heart trembled. The residual waves from the attacks along the way that had penetrated the defensive artifact had already severely injured him, and now facing Lin Yuan's attack, he actually felt an instinctual fear. But to completely kill me will not be easy. Tuoba Ancient God steadied himself. He was only severely injured now, still a distance from death, and according to the current path, if he could endure for another 2 days, he would be able to reach a base of the Star Alliance. By then, with the support of the Star Alliance powerhouses, he would certainly be much more relaxed. However, boom! This strike landed on Tuoba Ancient God, hitting that defensive artifact. The next moment, Tuoba Ancient God's expression drastically changed. The strike Lin Yuan made was almost the same as the previous attacks. But with this strike as the catalyst, the residual forces hidden within his body all began to erupt. In an instant, Tuoba Ancient God felt like his body was enduring a catastrophic flood. It's over. Despair filled Tuoba Ancient God's heart. Following that, as the bursts of residual forces gathered within his body, his flesh suddenly exploded, and blood spattered. Whoosh! Lin Yuan stopped, reaching out with his right hand. A seemingly ordinary inner armor appeared in his hand. Is this the defensive artifact? Lin Yuan's eyes slightly heated up. With a powerhouse like Pei Shun at the same level as Tuoba Ancient God lasting only a few breaths in Lin Yuan's hands, even while holding an offensive artifact. But Tuoba Ancient God, he had resisted under Lin Yuan's pursuit for half a day. Search * the novel F. Ire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. What was the reason? Naturally, it was this defensive artifact. Unlike offensive artifacts, defensive artifacts are far more valuable. This was particularly true in the two-dimensional world. Pei Shun, with an offensive artifact, had killing power that was shocking, But if it didn't hit, it was all in vain. But a defensive artifact? It was almost destined to block most of Lin Yuan's attacks. Lin Yuan stowed away the inner armor, his expression suddenly shifting. In the exploded flesh of Tuoba Ancient God, under the tens of thousands of residual impacts from Lin Yuan, almost all items turned into dust. Except for the inner armor. And a silver-white mirror. Is this mirror also an artifact? Lin Yuan picked up the mirror. To discern whether an item was an artifact, there was a very simple method. That was to attack. In this two-dimensional world, very few things could withstand a full-powered hit from one of the myriad tribes' powerhouses, an artifact being one of them. Thinking this, Lin Yuan squeezed hard with his right hand. The silver mirror remained unscathed. It is an artifact. Lin Yuan felt a surge of joy in his heart and likewise stored the silver mirror away. It's time to leave. Lin Yuan glanced around. Having chased the Tuoba Ancient God for half the day, he noticed other myriad tribes' powerhouses were cautiously spying from hundreds of miles away. Whoosh! Lin Yuan's figure disappeared from the spot. Main universe. Deep within the cosmic starry skies. Inside a secret realm. The Tuoba Ancient God's face paled. His originally near-perfect aura suddenly plummeted. With the avatar in the two-dimensional world falling, the Tuoba Ancient God's true self was affected, suffering a permanent loss of that avatar's spirit will. Why is my luck so bad? Tuoba Ancient God fumed internally. They were a group of 6 special beings, who together, apart from the 9 most powerful warriors of the myriad tribes, could nearly sweep through the two-dimensional world. And out of the whole two-dimensional world, how many were at the level of the 9 most powerful warriors of the myriad tribes? Yet why did he have to encounter one? My defensive artifact. Tuoba Ancient God's heart was bleeding. In his original plan, even if his avatar could not leave the two-dimensional world, he had hoped to entrust a departing powerhouse to take the defensive artifact out. Although it would definitely cost him greatly, even if Tuoba Ancient God only obtained 1% of the artifact's value, it would still be greatly beneficial to him. At least, the loss of spirit will caused by the fall of his avatar would be partially compensated. But now, the avatar had fallen, and the defensive artifact was gone too. Tuoba Ancient God might as well have fetched water with a bamboo basket, all in vain. However, from beginning to end, Tuoba Ancient God never considered retaliating against the myriad tribe's powerhouse who had killed him. What a joke. Retaliate in the two-dimensional world without relying on artifacts. That mysterious myriad tribe's powerhouse could easily slaughter him. Tuoba Ancient God instinctively believed that in the cosmic starry skies, that mysterious myriad tribe's powerhouse's true self was certainly a formidable 11th rank perfect strong one. To seek revenge against such a powerful being was hopeless unless Tuoba Ancient God himself reached the ultimate realm. Meanwhile, as time passed, the battles fought by Lin Yuan, who had slain those 4 special beings as well as Pei Shen, Tuoba Ancient God, and others, were being gradually circulated among the myriad tribes' powerhouses through recreated memory battle recordings. Over a serene lake, a 4-armed man sat on the surface of the lake. 4 divine kings. A few figures stood respectfully on the nearby shore. Facing the 4 divine kings, the despair of the 11th rank life, whether inside or outside the two-dimensional world, was profound. The 4 divine kings were too strong. 100 years ago, the Tianyu clan had concentrated all of its strong ones who had fallen into the two-dimensional world, trying to eliminate the 4 divine kings ahead of time. But they failed. Not just failed. The entire Tianyu clan was almost destroyed, causing the strong ones of the Tianyu clan in this two-dimensional world to never recover. A peak clan had prematurely lost its right to leave through the heavenly gate after 200 or 300 years. That mysterious strong one, who killed Tuoba Ancient God and Pei Shen among other special beings. These special beings had already allied with our Star Alliance. A tall man on the shore cautiously spoke. What? You want me to fight that mysterious strong one? The 4 divine kings opened their eyes, their tone icy. Let's forget about this matter. The 4 divine kings glanced at the few figures on the shore. I have seen that mysterious strong one's battle recording. His strength is not much weaker than mine. Now that he has gained the defensive and offensive artifacts, even if I put forth all my effort, I might not be able to kill him." The four divine kings paused for a moment and then continued. "There are 200 years left until the heavenly gate opens. For these 200 years, I need to seize all the time to practice and break through. As for everything else, do not disturb me." Yes, the figures on the shore were startled. Even the four divine kings were not confident in killing that mysterious strong one. Also, if you encounter that mysterious strong one, remember to keep your distance. The four divine kings warned, then closed their eyes again. Inside a volcano, next to boiling lava, a thin old man sat there. Wonder which old friend the strong one might be. The thin old man mused after watching Lin Yuan's battle video, his face showing contemplation. Combat in the two-dimensional world was completely different from the main universe, so identifying the real identity of a strong one based on their battle style was challenging. But the strength Lin Yuan displayed obviously gained the thin old man's approval, determining that Lin Yuan was a legendary 11th rank perfect being, akin to himself. Well then, it's been a long time, and I might as well go out and show myself, maybe collect a few artifacts for fun? With his mind made up, the thin old man stood up and left the volcano, deep underground. After Lin Yuan killed Tuoba ancient god and the group of special beings, he didn't immediately return to the Luochuan gathering area. Instead, he hid in this place, starting to take stock of his gains. This mirror. Lin Yuan flipped his right hand, and the silver mirror appeared. The mirror was wholly silver, with a faint mysterious aura flowing throughout. This. Lin Yuan closely observed it, his expression subtly changing. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 731 New Rankings. Please subscribe. The silver mirror appeared quite ordinary, imprisoned within the two-dimensional world, where even weapons that were 12-star strange treasures were subject to suppression. They could only display an insignificant trace of spirituality. Lin Yuan's bronze compass was like this, the protective inner armor of Tuoba ancient god was the same, and Pei Shin's pitch-black iron staff was no exception. Yet this silver mirror, after careful consideration, Lin Yuan discovered the vast spatial fluctuations it contained internally. Space. Sarch * the novel fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lin Yuan's expression became grave. The ability to contain such a degree of spatial fluctuations within this two-dimensional world. What would happen if it were in the main universe? This mirror is extraordinary, Lin Yuan thought to himself. But what is the use of this mirror? Lin Yuan had tried various methods for a good part of the day, blood among others, but still hadn't discovered anything. Tuoba ancient god. Probably only got this mirror not long before. Lin Yuan speculated in his mind. He had pursued Tuoba ancient god for so long, and the latter had desperately fled, never utilizing the mirror throughout. From this, one could infer that Tuoba ancient god didn't know the capabilities of the mirror. Otherwise, in a life-or-death situation, any means would be used if it could save one's life. Take it slow. Even if I can't figure it out here, once I take it out, I'll eventually understand. The powers of the silver mirror were restrained within the two-dimensional world, and its many marvels could not be revealed. As long as Lin Yuan could take it out, all problems would naturally be solved. Even if Lin Yuan couldn't understand it, he could consult with the spirit of the Shenhuang secret realm, as well as the stone statue Shinji in the demon jade space. With this thought, Lin Yuan solemnly stored away the silver mirror and then took out the inner armor of Tuoba ancient god. This inner armor was extremely lightweight. When Lin Yuan wore it, he faintly felt his limbs and torso protected by a certain power. Any attack that bombarded Lin Yuan's body would be blocked by the inner armor itself, and even the residual force that infiltrated was dispersed and diluted. No wonder Tuoba ancient god was so difficult to kill. A smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. Wearing this inner armor virtually bolstered his defensive capability to its maximum. If I were to take this inner armor out into the outside world, I wonder what kind of might it would possess. Lin Yuan's eyes sparkled with vigor. Among all types of weapons and equipment, defensive gear is much more valuable than offensive gear. After all, survival is always the top priority no matter the circumstance. The only drawback is that the head is not within the protected range. Lin Yuan shook his head slightly. The coverage of the inner armor only extended to the limbs and torso, but the head? Unless matched with the corresponding helmet, it might as well be exposed. And in this two-dimensional world, there was no such thing as regenerating from a beheading. Once the head was exploded, even the strong perished. Of course, the head, being a vital point, is something that every powerhouse amongst the myriad tribes would surely guard well. Tuoba, ancient god, had protected his head thoroughly when fleeing from Lin Yuan's pursuit. Moreover, while the head is indeed a critical point, the skull is also the hardest bone in the body. The myriad tribes' powerhouses pay extra attention to the tempering of their bones during body refinement. To directly shatter the skull of the head, at least someone of the same level would find it very difficult to accomplish. Penetrative power is unavoidable, though, Lin Yuan thought to himself. When he killed Tuoba, ancient god, it was by relying on blows that penetrated into the body before finally erupting. This silver mirror could act as a heart protection mirror. Lin Yuan took out the mirror and placed it against his chest. Although he hadn't figured out the use of the silver mirror, the mirror itself was incredibly hard and impossible to destroy, a commonality shared by all rare treasures in this two-dimensional world. With the silver mirror as a secondary defense, at least Lin Yuan's cardiac protection was significantly stronger than other areas. With the results of Lin Yuan's cultivation of the evergreen technique, as long as it wasn't the heart, head, or other fatal organs, even if other organs were damaged, they would be able to recover. Iron Staff. After equipping the inner armor and the heart protection mirror, Lin Yuan turned his attention to the pitch-black iron staff. The pitch-black iron staff boasted a simple ability: strength. The same blow, once amplified by the pitch-black iron staff, would see its might skyrocket 2 to 3 times. One might not think much of this amplification, but this was the two-dimensional world, where enhancing one's strength was incredibly arduous. An amplification of 2 to 3 times was enough to elevate a powerhouse amongst the myriad tribes several levels. It's just too big, too conspicuous, Lin Yuan remarked as he caressed the pitch-black iron staff. Compared to the compactness of the inner armor and the silver mirror, the pitch-black iron staff couldn't stay hidden. Its nearly 2-meter length was exceedingly conspicuous wherever it was placed. This was also due to the inability of any of the exotic treasures within this two-dimensional world to be refined. Otherwise, given the properties of exotic treasures, variable size at will would be the most basic capability. Its size doesn't really matter, Lin Yuan thought after consideration. After all, the staff offered the most direct enhancement to his strength. What about the inner armor? Unless faced with an absolute crisis, Lin Yuan didn't think he would need to use it. The inner armor was meant to boost Lin Yuan's survivability, but in this world, there were very, very few who could force Lin Yuan to retreat for the sake of his life. Furthermore, as time passed, Lin Yuan's rate of increasing strength grew ever faster, and such powerful adversaries would quickly diminish. This move has been quite profitable, Lin Yuan concluded as he summarized the gains of this endeavor. First and foremost was avenging a grudge, causing Tuoba, ancient god, to lose a part of his spirit will. Tuoba, ancient god, was already an 11th rank 5th tier special being, with a minuscule chance of forcibly breaking through to the ultimate level. Now, with a portion of his spirit will gone, one could say that, barring any surprises, Tuoba, ancient god, had completely cut off any opportunity to reach ultimate. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 732 New Rankings. Please subscribe. _2 It wasn't that he couldn't push forward, but that pushing forward equated to death, leaving almost no hope of reaching the ultimate level. This act of severing Tuoba, ancient god's future path was Lin Yuan's way of settling the score from being wronged before. Fang Qing, his good friend, also virtually died at the hands of Tuoba ancient god. Even though revived by a supreme being, the animosity was established. If Lin Yuan had the capability, naturally he wouldn't let the other party off. Next were the 3 strange items acquired, which enhanced Lin Yuan's strength in all aspects. Defense, attack, coupled with the premonition from the bronze compass, almost made Lin Yuan a hexagon warrior with no weaknesses. If he could develop the capabilities of the silver mirror, employing spatial strategies, then Lin Yuan could completely traverse this two-dimensional world with ease. And the gains here were not limited to the two-dimensional world. As long as Lin Yuan could successfully return to the main universe, the gains would increase countless times over. The 3 items were equivalent to 3 12-star strange treasuries weapons. Just thinking about it exhilarated Lin Yuan. Continue training. I can feel that the witch ancestor 19th realm is close. Lin Yuan thought to himself. He had been in the witch ancestor 18th realm for a while now and had a lot of premonitions about the 19th realm. Go to Co-Virtual World. S.E.A. the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Nalan, the deputy tower master, promptly contacted Lin Yuan to inform him of major events occurring in the two-dimensional world. This was also per Lin Yuan's request. Having hidden for a long time in the gathering places of Luochuan, distant from the core circles of the two-dimensional world, he didn't know much about many intelligence messages. That was why he requested this of Deputy Tower Master Nalan. Although Lin Yuan was confident that with his Against Heaven's understanding, he could surpass those Tier 11 perfection legendary beings, he wasn't so arrogant as to disregard everything entirely. Major events, major events. Deputy Tower Master Nalan's expression was grave. As soon as he saw Lin Yuan, he quickly started, Shuiyu ancient country has given birth to a mysterious strong being who is not weaker than the 9 major powerhouses. Shuiyu ancient country wasn't very noticeable among the 12 ancient countries. Although it also had many myriad tribes powerhouses dispersed throughout, it never produced any particularly impressive strong beings. That was why Tuoba ancient god and other special beings set their sights on Shuiyu ancient country. A soft persimmon needs to be pinched. And in the 12 ancient countries, Shuiyu ancient country undoubtedly belonged to the category of soft persimmons. Little did they expect that this time, Tuoba ancient god and other special beings would suffer a major setback. That mysterious strong being from Shuiyu ancient country is too terrifying, Deputy Tower Master Nalan said in awe. Barehanded, he killed both Tuoba ancient god and Pei Shun, both of whom were strong beings wielding strange artifacts. Deputy Tower Master Nalan spoke with considerable surprise. Being at Tier 11 himself, he had a significant gap compared to Tuoba ancient god and Pei Shun. If he encountered them in the two-dimensional world, it was uncertain whether he could even escape. Lin Yuan listened quietly on the side. He was the mysterious strong being mentioned by Deputy Tower Master Nalan, but he did not plan to publicly reveal this yet. There was no benefit in doing so. It would only attract countless attention. Besides, many of the strong beings that fell into the two-dimensional world are still hidden, practicing in the dark. The 4 divine kings and the other 9 major powerhouses are just a part of them, Deputy Tower Master Nalan said with emotion. Having witnessed the 4 divine kings and other major powerhouses over the past 100 years, and the recent battle from Shuiyu ancient country, Deputy Tower Master Nalan had almost given up the idea of his avatar leaving the two-dimensional world. What a joke! To leave the two-dimensional world, he would have to compete with the 4 divine kings and that mysterious strong being from Shuiyu ancient country. But what could he, Nalan, the Deputy Tower Master, use to compete with those monsters? Indeed, there are many strong beings hidden in the shadows. Lin Yuan nodded slightly. Many of the strong beings that had fallen into the two-dimensional world shared his thoughts. These strong beings refrained from doing anything during the early stages, only making a move after the gates to heaven opened. However, even if some strong beings are hiding, the presence of the 4 divine kings, mysterious strong beings, and others definitely constitute the strongest circle inside the two-dimensional world, Deputy Tower Master Nalan said. Revealing one's identity early on wasn't necessarily weaker than those who hid their identities. It was just a difference in approach. Where does that mysterious strong being currently rank among the openly powerful in the two-dimensional world? Lin Yuan suddenly became curious, wanting to know his own strength positioning. I knew you would ask this, Deputy Tower Master Nayland said with a smile on his face. He wasn't puzzled by the question Lin Yuan posed. In fact, most of the strong beings from the myriad clans in the two-dimensional world were curious about that mysterious strong being from Shuyu ancient country. Who wouldn't be curious about a being who remained unnoticed before striking and then overwhelmed everything with his power? According to the latest rankings of the strong, this mysterious being is currently ranked 6th, Deputy Tower Master Nayland said as a holographic screen appeared before him, which he then pushed towards Lin Yuan. 6th? Lin Yuan looked down. Yes, Deputy Tower Master Nayland nodded. Actually, I think this mysterious being could rank even higher because he has made so few moves, and having never clashed with other major power level beings, just overpowering Tuoba Ancient God and other special beings in one fight isn't enough to fully demonstrate his strength, Deputy Tower Master Nayland explained. The rankings of the strong in the two-dimensional world were based on many factors. Many strong beings had gone through countless battles, and their personal strength could be very well demonstrated, so their rankings were much more precise. But for that mysterious strong being from Shuyu ancient country, having only chased and killed Tuoba ancient god and other special beings in that one battle, the ranking based on that was bound to be a bit lower. Even so, the fact that this mysterious strong being was ranked 6th already illustrated the impact of that one battle. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 733 New Rankings. Please subscribe. _3-inch 4 Divine Kings? Lin Yuan scanned the rankings briefly, and the number 1 among the myriad tribes' powerhouses still belonged to the 4 Divine Kings. The myriad tribes' powerhouses ranking had been out for over 100 years now, with significant differences between the top 9 powerhouses of the early days and those of the present, almost a complete turnover. Only the 4 Divine Kings had always held the first place since the ranking's inception, never wavering. The most famous battle involving the 4 Divine Kings was undoubtedly the one where they swept through the Tianyu clan, a formidable peak clan that was actually breached. That battle laid the foundation for the 4 Divine Kings' revered reputation, which had a more significant impact on the outside world, almost causing a rampage among several ancestors of the Tianyu clan. The 4 Divine Kings are indeed very, very strong, Nayland, the Tower Deputy Master, said. And what's more, the 4 Divine Kings are different from us. Different? Lin Yuan was somewhat curious. He knew very little about the 4 Divine Kings, this legend of a level 11 perfect life from the Star Alliance, who was considered the most likely to become one of the ultimate 11th rank lives in the contemporary universe. I just heard about this myself, Nayland, the Tower Deputy Master, pondered. All of us powerhouses, whether human evolvers or powerhouses from different species, once we fall into the two-dimensional world, our forms and sizes are downscaled and we take on the appearance of the mainstream humanoids of that world. That's right. Lin Yuan nodded. Some special beings, originally tens of thousands to millions of miles in size, but when falling into the two-dimensional world, are directly reduced to the range of 1 to 3 meters. CTH Novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The shape follows suit too. Go to. Kono bizarre or grotesque forms would appear. Did you know why the 4 Divine Kings have 4 arms? Nayland, the Tower Deputy Master, said. 4 arms. Lin Yuan looked at Nayland, the Tower Deputy Master. All myriad tribes' powerhouses, after plunging into the two-dimensional world, will converge towards the standard humanoid form of the world. 1 head, 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 mouth. But the 4 Divine Kings, they have 4 arms, continued Nayland, the Tower Deputy Master. Could it be? Lin Yuan had a vague guess in his mind. The extra 2 arms of the 4 Divine Kings are in fact supreme weapons, which have merged with the body of the 4 Divine Kings. Even the two-dimensional world cannot fully suppress the spirit of the weapons, Hence the 4 divine kings can have 4 arms, explained Nalan, the tower deputy master. I see, Lin Yuan realized. When Lin Yuan first saw that the 4 divine kings possessed 4 arms, he had his doubts but did not give it further thought, assuming that the additional limbs were an anomaly. So, the 4 divine kings are different from us. Their strength not only stems from their own powers, but is also augmented by the supreme weapons, Nalan, the tower deputy master, disclosed. The key difference between Lin Yuan's pitch-black iron rod and the weapons of the 4 divine kings was that the latter's weapons were a perfect fit for them. After all, the 4 divine kings' supreme weapons originated from the outside world, not randomly obtained within the two-dimensional world. A supreme weapon that perfectly suits oneself could exert a power beyond the imagination of other powerhouses. That was why, besides breaking through the Tianyu clan, the 4 divine kings had not made another move in the past 100 years, yet still occupied the top spot in the rankings. No wonder, Lin Yuan now also felt some pressure. With 200 years left before the heavenly gates opening, could he truly surpass the 4 divine kings who had a perfect match with their supreme weapons? More than 100 years ago, the Tianyu clan must have realized this and sought desperately to eliminate the 4 divine kings in their weaker days. Lin Yuan thought. That great battle involved not only the Tianyu clan but also the covert support of other peak clans. Nalan, the tower deputy master, said. In fact, some of the supreme beings of human civilization had also watched secretly, ready to seize the chance to kill the 4 divine kings if possible. But the unfortunate defeat of the Tianyu clan turned the hearts of the powerhouses of human civilization cold, and they decided not to continue their attack. In this new ranking, that mysterious powerhouse from Shuyu ancient country has moved up to 6th, and the Hozhu from the prison tribe has fallen to 10th, said Nalan, the tower deputy master, after glancing at the new rankings and shaking his head slightly. Hozhu of the prison tribe, merely a normal 11th rank life, managed to remain in the top 9 powerhouse positions for over 100 years, thanks to a crimson greatsword. Two-dimensional world. In a desolate desert, a man wielding a crimson greatsword sat alone. My ranking has fallen to 10th, clearly, I'm no longer first tier in terms of publicized combat power. The man was Hozhu of the prison tribe. Everyone outside thinks my position among the top 9 powerhouses is based on luck, entirely due to the light of this wondrous artifact, thought Hozhu of the prison tribe quietly. The 4 divine kings also relied on a supreme weapon, but no one questioned their strength. Without the supreme weapon, the 4 divine kings would still be level 11 perfect legendary lives. And the weapon of the 4 divine kings did not come from the two-dimensional world. It was brought from the Star Alliance. What about him, Hozhu? He was just a lucky fellow. Without this crimson greatsword, Hozhu was nothing. Therefore, he had always been the most gossiped among the top 9 powerhouses. Now that Hozhu had fallen out of the top 9, it was almost predictable that he would face a lot of ridicule. Over the years, I've given up everything and concentrated solely on the comprehension of this crimson greatsword, delving into 9 major killing techniques within it. Hozhu sneered. The profound mystery and the terrifying murderous intent contained in the greatsword even made Hozhu tremble. Just wait. 200 years later, when the heavenly gate opens, I will show you all the true might of Hozhu. Hozhu took a deep breath. As an 11th rank life, he certainly understood the principle of restraint. All myriad tribes' powerhouses who have fallen into this two-dimensional world had one ultimate goal, the opening of the heavenly gate. And Hozhu was no exception. He too awaited that day. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 734, The Silent Xia Qin Supreme Being. Please subscribe, Virtual World. Nalan curiously asked, Galaxy Master, in the two-dimensional world, you must have entered the witch ancestor realm, right? Lin Yuan was the greatest genius in human civilization history, with an undisputedly brilliant aptitude. Thus, Nalan was almost certain Lin Yuan had become a witch ancestor. It is known that in the two-dimensional world for over 100 years, a significant number of 10th rank lives have only just entered the witch ancestor realm. At the initial advent in the two-dimensional world, 8th layer life, 9th rank life, 10th rank life, and 11th rank life all started at the same point. But as time elapsed, the disparities between them began to widen, and the gaps continued to grow. Yes, Lin Yuan nodded. Witch ancestor 18th realm, that is still a witch ancestor. In that case, our human civilization's 11th rank evolvers have compiled 17 methods of cultivation for stages beyond the witch ancestor realm. I'll send them to you to see. Nalan immediately sent them to Lin Yuan. In the two-dimensional world, where special life forms prevail and human civilization is relatively weak, it is crucial to stay united. Sharing cultivation methods with each other is a norm, and as for the competition when the Sky Gate opens, as long as the majority of those who leave the two-dimensional world are human evolvers, then human civilization would be considered victorious. However, the prospect doesn't look great at the moment. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on. Not to mention those hidden figures like the mysterious powerhouse from Shuyu ancient country. Just the 4 divine kings alone have almost guaranteed their spots for leaving during the first Sky Gate opening. Thank you. Lin Yuan glanced at the cultivation methods Nalan had sent over, his expression pensive. The creators of these post-witch ancestor cultivation methods were essentially 11th rank beings of human civilization, each an outstanding genius of their era, and their explored cultivation methods significantly moved Lin Yuan. They moved him more than those native witch ancestor cultivation methods from the two-dimensional world. It's just that my cultivation method might not suit you guys. Lin Yuan looked up at Nalan after skimming through the texts, his voice hesitant. The witch ancestor cultivation skill Lin Yuan was practicing was developed using his Against Heaven's understanding, tailored to his conditions. The advantage is that it could tap into the potential of every stage of his physical development, but the downside, it was uniquely suited to Lin Yuan himself. Other powerhouses could not emulate it even if they wanted to. In fact, the multiple post-witch ancestor cultivation methods that Nalan had compiled were also explored and developed by many Tier 11 evolvers based on their conditions. They also didn't have any universal applicability, but Lin Yuan, with his Against Heaven's understanding, could observe these methods from the most fundamental perspective. Don't worry. Nalan shook his head. Although Lin Yuan, you're the greatest genius in human civilization history, you're still just a 10th rank life. Compared to 11th rank evolvers, your perspective is narrower and closer. Once the Sky Gate opens, I will specifically organize some cultivation methods for you all, Lin Yuan said thoughtfully. For now, the most important task for him was to enhance his strength as much as possible before the Sky Gate opened in 200 years. Creating specialized cultivation methods for other human evolvers would be a deviation from his goals. Such a task could wait till 200 years later. By then, Lin Yuan should have more free time. Sar the Nelfer. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Deep underground. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his presence undulating like a fathomless abyss. At a certain moment, Lin Yuan, like a steadfast rock emitting no aura, then suddenly erupted like a tsunami, horrifying fluctuations of vital energy spreading in all directions. If not for being underground, the disturbance could have alarmed countless myriad tribes' powerhouses within thousands of miles. Witch ancestor 19th realm. Lin Yuan slowly opened his eyes, his face breaking into a slight smile. After reviewing other 11th rank evolvers' explored paths in which ancestor cultivation from human civilization, Lin Yuan's own accumulation had finally reached a qualitative breakthrough, advancing into the witch ancestor's 19th realm. My current power is 60% stronger than in the witch ancestor 18th realm. To hunt down Tuoba ancient god again, it would take no more than 2 hours to penetrate his mystical inner armor and kill him. Lin Yuan felt the surged strength within his body, satisfied with the result. I wonder how strong the 4 divine kings are now? Lin Yuan thought to himself. The 4 divine kings possessed supreme weapons perfectly suited to them, under such circumstances. Utilizing these supreme weapons to comprehend the force of this world would likely far surpass other myriad tribes' powerhouses. It's time to go back. Lin Yuan stood up and left the depths of the underground, heading back to the Luochuan gathering area. Luochuan gathering area. Zha Rangu stood there respectfully. Master, Zharangu spoke respectfully. Just now, Zharangu had again received news from Shuiyu Tavern, and the source of the rampant bloody traces within Shuiyu ancient country had been completely resolved. According to Shuiyu Tavern, a certain supreme powerhouse within Shuiyu ancient country had acted to suppress a group of powerhouses causing slaughter within the country. Shuiyu Tavern knew nothing about this supreme powerhouse, but Zharangu faintly realized, could this be related to Lin Yuan? Especially since this great battle coincided with Lin Yuan's disappearance, and the matter had occurred after he had discussed it with Lin Yuan? Thinking of the terrifying traces on the battleground reported by Shuiyu Tavern, Zharangu couldn't help but shiver. Could that truly be the power a person could possess? I need to continue my closed-door cultivation. Unless it's something important, there's no need to disturb me? Lin Yuan glanced at Zharangu, instructing him. The changes in Zharangu's emotions were clear as daylight in Lin Yuan's eyes. But Lin Yuan didn't care. Even if the identity of that mysterious powerhouse from Shuiyu ancient country were exposed, how would it matter if it were revealed to be him? Currently, his identity in the Luochuan gathering place has no connection whatsoever with his identity as the Milky Way galaxy master in the main universe. If it's exposed, so be it. Moreover, Lin Yuan did not believe Zharangu would dare to spread their suspicions. In a world where phantasm reality alternated, 9 breaths surged out, forming 9 towering figures, precisely the 9 supreme beings of human civilization. With our human civilization's heritage treasure, Void Realm World, to replicate that two-dimensional world, even if it's only 10 to 20% similar, it's enough for us to deduce the cultivation methods, said the Feather Butterfly Supreme Being. The sheet from the Taiyuan relic was unfathomable, and even a supreme being dared not let themselves be drawn into it, risking a plunge into that two-dimensional world. But it doesn't mean there are no methods if supreme beings dare not risk it personally. For instance, human civilization could use the Void Realm World, simulate the two-dimensional world within the sheet, which allows supreme beings to enter and perceive its fundamental power. Void Realm World is one of the heritages of human civilization, capable of replicating and simulating the myriad rules of the main universe. Indeed, the two-dimensional world within the sheet completely retracted without giving away much aura. However, the treasure of human civilization Void Realm World can still replicate it through the little aura available. The two-dimensional world replicated by Void Realm World naturally can't compare to the real one, with a similarity of only about 10 to 20%. But that's enough. Supreme beings can enter at will, and from the height of ultimate beings, even a 1% degree of similarity can help deduce many things. Humph! That old monster from the Star Alliance has merged a supreme weapon into that youngster of the 4 divine kings, rendering him nearly invincible in the two-dimensional world. Now we have utilized the Void Realm World to deduce the cultivation methods for our human civilization's evolvers. So far, we have conclusively deduced up to the Witch Ancestor 16th Realm cultivation methods, said the Void God Supreme Being with a smile. The cultivation methods they deduced were not restricted in any way and should offer considerable aid to human evolvers in the two-dimensional world. At the very least, they can serve as a guiding light, accelerating the cultivation pace of human civilization evolvers. All right, I need to go back to instruct those juniors. The Xia Qin Supreme Being's form disappeared. The other Supreme Beings exchanged glances and gradually vanished as well. Milky Way main star. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. Xia Qin Supreme Being wants me to meet him? Lin Yuan opened his eyes, slightly surprised. In this past century, Xia Qin Supreme Being should have been entangled by some matter and would not usually contact him. There must be something, he thought. Lin Yuan immediately connected his consciousness to the virtual world and entered Xia Qin Supreme Being's personal world. Supreme Being. Lin Yuan bowed to Xia Qin Supreme Being, who was sitting on the throne. Lin Yuan. Xia Qin Supreme Being looked at Lin Yuan, a smile emerging on his face. How is your cultivation in the two-dimensional world? Not bad, Lin Yuan replied. In just over 100 years, Lin Yuan had caught up with those at the peak of Tier 11 legendaries, which was indeed impressive. Indeed, those who could step into Tier 11 perfection were beings with heavenly defying talents and attributes, unique and unparalleled in the vast universe. Next, I will explain to you the subsequent cultivation methods of the witch ancestor, Xiaqin Supreme Being got straight to the point. The Supreme Being explaining the subsequent cultivation methods of the witch ancestor? Lin Yuan was slightly stunned, his face filled with anticipation. Although unaware of how the Supreme Being deduced the following witch ancestor cultivation methods, without entering the two-dimensional world himself and perceiving the essence of the power inside, it was nearly impossible to decipher the specific cultivation methods. But since Xiaqin Supreme Being said so, he must be very confident. The cultivation of the witch ancestor period starts from the first realm. Xiaqin Supreme Being quickly outlined the cultivation methods from the first to the sixth realm. How about this? Xiaqin Supreme Being looked at Lin Yuan. Could you delve deeper? Lin Yuan thought for a moment. The methods from the first to the sixth realm Xiaqin Supreme Being outlined had indeed given Lin Yuan some insight. But the impact was not significant, especially since Lin Yuan was already at the 19th realm of the witch ancestor. The cultivation methods arranged by Deputy Tower Master Nalen had allowed Lin Yuan to break through smoothly to the 19th realm because of the accumulation of experience, needing only that final push. Even without the cultivation methods arranged by Nalen, Lin Yuan would have breakthrough to the 19th realm very soon. Delve deeper. Xiaqin Supreme Being was slightly surprised but did not hesitate and continued to explain the cultivation methods from the 7th to the 14th realm of the witch ancestor. Even deeper, please, said Lin Yuan after listening, his expression serious, as the methods from the 7th to the 14th realm indeed provided him with great insights. But it was still not enough. Deeper still. Xiaqin Supreme Being's eyebrows twitched, already at the 14th realm of the witch ancestor, and yet that wasn't deep enough? However, since Lin Yuan wanted to hear more in depth, Xiaqin Supreme Being said nothing further and laid out the ultimate essence of power from the 15th to the 16th realm of the witch ancestor. Could we continue a bit deeper? Lin Yuan, upon hearing this, had some revelations. Deeper still. Xiaqin Supreme Being couldn't help but say, "What level of cultivation methods are you looking to hear? What level of cultivation methods?" Lin Yuan looked at Xiaqin Supreme Being. "Do you have those of the witch ancestor's 20th realm?" The witch ancestor's 20th realm? Xiaqin Supreme Being was filled with surprise and doubt, examining Lin Yuan for a while before falling into a deep silence. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 735, The Resolute Supreme Being. Please subscribe. Xiaqin Supreme Being looked at Lin Yuan, his mind racing with thoughts. As a 12th rank life, how fast could Xiaqin Supreme Being's cognitive speed possibly be? In just an instant, he deduced the many possible reasons why Lin Yuan would inquire about the witch ancestor's 20th realm. The most likely reason he came up with was that Lin Yuan had already reached the witch ancestor 19th realm. It would be normal for someone at the witch ancestor 19th realm to want to learn about the mysteries of the witch ancestor's 20th realm. But that reason seemed too incredible to believe. Witch ancestor 19th realm? In the two-dimensional world, it was debatable whether any of those mythic perfect level 11 beings had reached that level. Lin Yuan was merely a 10th rank life, no matter how heaven-defying he was. Surely there had to be some limits? Beyond that possibility, Xiaqin Supreme Being also deduced many other potential reasons. For example, Lin Yuan might want to see further ahead, know the general idea of the witch ancestor's 20th realm, or he could just be asking out of pure curiosity, among others. What level of witch ancestor are you now? Xiaqin Supreme Being, after a moment of silence, couldn't help but ask. The two-dimensional world within white paper could block a Supreme Being's probing. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on. Koso. Even Xiaqin Supreme Being couldn't determine Lin Yuan's specific realm level. I am now. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and didn't hide the truth. 19th realm. When facing a Supreme Being from his clan, instances like the door to the myriad realms and the mysterious gourd, which were opportunities far surpassing 12th rank, Lin Yuan would choose to conceal them. As for everything else, there was no need for concealment. In the world of the two-dimensional, one must accurately reveal their strength to receive guidance from Xiaqin's Supreme Being. Lin Yuan held great admiration for Supreme Beings. Every life form that had become a Supreme Being was extremely resolute. Merely relying on innate talent was not enough to reach the ultimate level. Really, at the Witch Ancestor 19th Realm? Xiaqin's Supreme Being looked at Lin Yuan, although he had already anticipated it in his mind. But when Lin Yuan personally confirmed it, Xiaqin's Supreme Being was still somewhat shocked. The 9 Supreme Beings of human civilization had joined hands to replicate a two-dimensional world within Void Realm world, descending within it to carry out deductions for nearly 100 years, before they finally arrived at the cultivation methods spanning from the 1st to the 16th realm of Witch Ancestor. And here was Lin Yuan who had, on his own, stepped into the Witch Ancestor 19th realm. Admittedly, the two-dimensional world that the 9 Supreme Beings of human civilization descended into, created forcibly by Void Realm world, was only somewhat similar to the actual one. And the cultivation methods they deduced were not limited to any single being but could be popularized to some extent. In terms of difficulty, it was definitely higher than the cultivation methods figured out by the powerhouses within the actual two-dimensional world. But they were supreme beings. They were ultimate beings. They were 12th rank lives. The insight and eyesight of a supreme being were far superior to those of a tier 11 being, let alone Lin Yuan who was merely 10th rank. Under these circumstances, it was understandable that those perfect level 11 legendary beings would explore up to the Witch Ancestor 18th realm and 19th realm. But Lin Yuan? You? Xiaqin's Supreme Being sighed. You really surprised me. Initially, when one of Lin Yuan's avatars fell into the two-dimensional world, Xiaqin's Supreme Being was extremely worried that it might affect Lin Yuan's prospects of reaching the ultimate level. The collaboration of human civilization's 9 Supreme Beings to stimulate Void Realm world and replicate the two-dimensional world was not without great cost. Nevertheless, Xiaqin's Supreme Being insisted on acting out of concern that Lin Yuan's avatar might actually be lost in the two-dimensional world. But now it seemed that Xiaqin's Supreme Being's concerns were completely unnecessary. If Lin Yuan truly possessed the strength of Witch Ancestor 19th realm, his life in that two-dimensional world must be quite comfortable. Indeed, it was not long ago that I barely stepped into the Witch Ancestor 19th realm, Lin Yuan said immediately. Not long ago? Barely. Xiaqin's Supreme Being glanced at Lin Yuan. If you could cultivate to the Witch Ancestor 19th realm in such a short period of time, there was no need for our human civilization to actively seek the Star Alliance. Xiaqin's Supreme Being stated with a smile on his face. Seek the Star Alliance? Lin Yuan was slightly startled. The Star Alliance was a coalition of many unique lifeforms within the cosmic starry skies, counted among the same level of power as the grand alliances of peak clans like human civilization. Without seeking the Star Alliance, it will be quite difficult to take out the treasures from the two-dimensional world, Xiaqin's Supreme Being said. So far, the 4 divine kings of the Star Alliance are the ones most likely to go through the heavenly gate and return to the cosmic starry sky. The treasures attained by the evolvers of our human civilization in the two-dimensional world can be brought out only with the help of the 4 divine kings, explained Xiaqin's Supreme Being. Those treasures would only show their greatest value once out of the two-dimensional world. However, human civilization's evolvers were not dominant in the two-dimensional world. At least based on the current situation, they were unable to compete with formidable beings like the 4 divine kings for a chance to enter the heavenly gate. But now, upon learning of Lin Yuan's strength, hope suddenly rose in Xiaqin's Supreme Being's heart. Given Lin Yuan's current realm, even if he still wasn't a match for the 4 divine kings, he could completely set his sights on the opening of the heavenly gate after the next one. So that's how it is. Lin Yuan nodded. To beg the Star Alliance to ask the 4 divine kings would surely come with a greater price, as it was a plea after all. But human civilization had no other choice, given that in the two-dimensional world, the advantages of special life forms were infinitely amplified. Not just human civilization, but the insect race, the Tianyu clan, and other peak clans were similarly unable to compete with the special life forms of the Star Alliance in the two-dimensional world. Xia the Novel Fire. Net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Of course, if you can leave the two-dimensional world through the heavenly gate later on and take out those treasures from our human civilization, you certainly won't be doing it for nothing. For each treasure, based on its value, you will get a 50% share. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 736, The Unyielding Supreme Being, Subscription Request, _2 Xiaqin Supreme Being immediately said, just taking out the extraordinary object and giving away 50% of its value does seem extravagant. But we must understand that if the extraordinary object isn't taken out, it's essentially a zero gain for human civilization. And this 50% value is not for the Star Alliance. It's still for our own people. Xiaqin Supreme Being is quite willing to do so. No problem, Lin Yuan immediately said. This is practically a giveaway. It's just that I don't know if I can actually enter the heavenly gate, Lin Yuan said with some hesitation. With your cultivation speed, as long as you avoid the 4 divine kings and focus on the second and third openings of the heavenly gate, there's still a great chance, Xiaqin Supreme Being said. Avoid the 4 divine kings? Source, web novel. Com, updated on. Colin Yuan's heart stirred. Whether in the two-dimensional world or the main universe, the might of the 4 divine kings was immense. Yes, the supreme weapon of the 4 divine kings suits him perfectly. Even if your realm is higher and your strength greater, the overall combat power is another matter. With your potential and speed of cultivation, there's no need to compete with the 4 divine kings. The risk would be too great, Xiaqin Supreme Being said, shaking his head. Understood. Lin Yuan's thoughts were already in alignment with Xiaqin Supreme Being's. Unless he was absolutely certain, Lin Yuan would not take risks to compete for a spot in the first opening of the heavenly gate. Time was on Lin Yuan's side. The longer the time, the greater the advantage his against heaven's understanding would bring. In just over 100 years, Lin Yuan was close to catching up to those Tier 11 perfect legendary lives. In another 10,000 years, Lin Yuan himself didn't know to what extent he could reach. Right? Since you've already reached the Witch Ancestor 19th realm, our derived cultivation method won't mean much to you. However, you can try to comprehend the essence of the power that was captured from the Void Realm world, a replica of the two-dimensional world, Xiaqin Supreme Being said. The essence of the power captured through the Void Realm world was the basis for the 9 Supreme Beings to derive the Ancestor Witch cultivation skill. Usually, such an essence of power wouldn't yield much insight even to those at the 10th or 11th rank of life. But after seeing Lin Yuan's performance, Xiaqin Supreme Being had a different opinion. After all, letting Lin Yuan comprehend it wouldn't be a loss anyway. The essence of power? Lin Yuan's eyes lit up. In the two-dimensional world, understanding the essence of its power was slow due to the world's inherent suppression. But outside, without the constraints of the two-dimensional world, observing the essence of power could yield significant benefits. Right, your true body is on the Milky Way main star, yes? I will get Yudi to guide a thread of Void Realm world power for your enlightenment, Xiaqin Supreme Being said. Thank you, Supreme Being, Lin Yuan said with great appreciation. Having the Feather Butterfly Supreme Being run an errand like this was probably an honor few in human civilization's history had received. In the depths of the cosmic starry sky, a mysterious scroll slowly unfurled. Sar the novel F. Ire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Numerous towering figures stood in the vicinity. Xiaqin, how is it? Have you given it some thought? A colossal figure, stretching billions of miles high, transmitted a message to Xiaqin Supreme Being. Your human civilization has a decent relationship with our Star Alliance. For the opening of the heavenly gate within the two-dimensional world, as long as you're willing to give up 60% of the extraordinary objects, I can have the 4 divine kings bring out the extraordinary objects found by your civilization's evolvers. How about it? This deal is very lucrative. For the insect race and the Tianyu clan, I demand 70 to 80% of the extraordinary objects. The colossal figure looked at Xiaqin Supreme Being, himself a 12th rank life leading countless special beings and rivaling several peak clan forces. "I'll give it some thought," Xiaqin's supreme being said calmly. "Give it some thought?" The colossal figure was slightly startled. "Xiaqin, you weren't like this before." The figure was somewhat puzzled. He had just negotiated with the Xiaqin supreme being not long ago, who had appeared quite enthusiastic. But now, the colossal figure clearly sensed a change in attitude. "Your asking price is too high," Xiaqin supreme being, now knowing Lin Yuan's true strength, was much more confident and was only stalling the other party. "If the price is high, we can negotiate," the colossal figure immediately said. "Then I'll give it some thought," Xiaqin supreme being repeated, bringing the conversation back to square one. "All right, you think about it," the colossal figure said no more. "But time is limited, and if you wait too long, it won't be just 60% of the extraordinary objects." The extraordinary objects within the two-dimensional world had extremely concealed auras. Even for beings as powerful as the 4 divine kings, they could only recognize them when they got close and used many methods. Therefore, as long as the human civilization's evolvers hid their harvested extraordinary objects in secluded places, even if the 4 divine kings slaughtered them all, they still wouldn't be able to obtain the extraordinary objects. Outside the Milky Way main star, an ephemeral presence coalesced, taking the form of the feathered butterfly supreme being. This youngster, he actually cultivated to the witch ancestor 19th realm? Feather butterfly supreme being looked towards the distant Milky Way main star, still pondering the matter Xiaqin supreme being had told her. How exactly did he cultivate? Without the high-level perspective and understanding of power of an 11th rank life, how could he possibly have such a rapid cultivation speed? Feather butterfly supreme being was astounded yet soon smiled. "But this is good. At least in that two-dimensional world, my human civilization now has its own peak combat power." Void Realm World. With a slight thought from Feather Butterfly Supreme Being, strands of ethereal power, crossing infinite light-years, descended upon the Milky Way main star, more precisely in the Star-Lord's Great Hall. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 737, The Unyielding Supreme Being, Subscription Request, _ 3-star Lord's Great Hall. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. Suddenly, wisps of ethereal power began to converge. What is this? Lin Yuan quickly opened his eyes. The clan suppression weapon of our human civilization, the power of the Void Realm World. The Void Realm World, famed for being able to replicate anything, capable of mimicking the countless rules of the universe, combined with the land beyond, significantly boosted the cultivation speed of 10th rank evolvers of human civilization. It was said that one of the 9 supreme beings of human civilization, the Feather Butterfly Supreme Being, acquired her supreme evolution path from the Void Realm World. The Void Realm World originated before human civilization's long period of dormant years, during that unprecedented greatest opportunity, when countless treasures and heritages fell like rain into the universe. Threads of illusory power continued to gather and swirl, faintly outlining the complete image of a miniature two-dimensional world before Lin Yuan. Source: web novel. Updated on Co. So this is the true appearance of that two-dimensional world? Lin Yuan observed carefully. The Taiyang divine spirit of Lin Yuan delved into that two-dimensional world, and for him it was difficult to fully sense the entirety of the two-dimensional world. It was akin to the illusion of being deep in the mountains, unaware of the surroundings. However, Lin Yuan now had a concrete concept of this two-dimensional world. The fundamental power of the two-dimensional world. So this is what it's like? Lin Yuan observed closely, as the Taiyang divine spirit felt the true breath of the two-dimensional world within it, the direct experience reflecting off the complete two-dimensional world itself. Your aptitude is against the heavens, sensing the essence of the mysterious world's power. Your own accumulation is slowly growing. Compared to the supreme beings of human civilization, who could only sense the overall aura of the two-dimensional world individually. Lin Yuan's Dao primordial spirit was within the two-dimensional world. Comparing the two, his gains were much greater than those of the supreme beings. No, that's not right. How come I feel that the two-dimensional world replicated by the Void Realm world is incomplete, as if it's just a portion? Lin Yuan was slightly startled in his heart. With the Taiyang divine spirit as a reference in the real two-dimensional world, Lin Yuan immediately realized that the two-dimensional world replicated by the Void Realm world was vaguely incomplete. This was somewhat unbelievable to Lin Yuan. Given the depth of the two-dimensional world, it was normal for the Void Realm world to be unable to replicate it completely. The Xiaqin Supreme Being also specifically mentioned to Lin Yuan that the fidelity of the two-dimensional world replicated by the Void Realm world was only 1/10 to 1/20 that of the true two-dimensional world. But fidelity and completeness were two different matters. For example, when trying to replicate a famous painting, the copy might come nowhere close to the original in terms of the details of the artistry. But at least in terms of size, the copy should not be much different from the real painting. Yet now, the two-dimensional world replicated by the Void Realm world seemed much smaller than the true two-dimensional world. There are two possibilities. One is that I perceived it incorrectly. The other is that within the two-dimensional world, there are vast hidden spaces that the Void Realm world cannot detect and thus cannot replicate. Lin Yuan thought to himself. That two-dimensional world. Lin Yuan looked up in a certain direction, precisely the final resting place of the white paper. Around the white paper, any matter would dematerialize on its own. If not for the intervention of a supreme being, likely 1% of this universe would turn into a scroll. Forget it. What kind of secrets are hidden within that two-dimensional world, and what does it have to do with me? Lin Yuan pondered for a moment, no longer dwelling on it. His most urgent task was to enhance his strength as much as possible. Then, when the heavenly gate opens, defeat the other competitors, step out of the two-dimensional world, and return to the main universe. Sir, the novel Fire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Two-dimensional world. Lin Yuan, while sensing the essence of heaven and earth, took out a silver mirror and gently stroked it. How exactly is this mirror used? Lin Yuan scrutinized it carefully. According to the information he had obtained, this silver mirror had belonged to a powerful member of the Ice Clan before it fell into the hands of the Tuoba ancient god. That Ice Clan powerhouse had possessed the mirror for decades and may have discovered some of its functions. However, after dying at the hands of the Tuoba ancient god, the true body of that Ice Clan member went into seclusion, and even Lin Yuan, concealing his identity, could not make contact. If blood doesn't work, let's try mental power. Lin Yuan carefully extended a wisp of mental energy. Within the two-dimensional world, even though all extraordinary powers were suppressed, mental energy, being the most fundamental force of life, stands apart from the physical strength and blood. Even in this two-dimensional world, the presence of mental power was still allowed. It was just like other extraordinary powers, mental energy was also greatly suppressed. As a practitioner at the Witch Ancestor 19th Realm, Lin Yuan had accumulated a fair amount of mental energy, allowing him the confidence to expend some on the mirror. If it were other myriad tribes' powerhouses, the loss of a wisp of mental energy might lead to a decline in condition and a considerable reduction in strength. Is this mirror absorbing mental energy? Lin Yuan's spirit was lifted as his mental energy came into contact with the mirror surface, experiencing a slight pull. Just as Lin Yuan was about to expend part of his mental energy to figure out the purpose of the silver mirror once and for all, Jia Rangu appeared outside, wanting to see Lin Yuan. Come in. Lin Yuan put away the silver mirror and said, Master. Jia Rangu spoke respectfully. What's the matter? Lin Yuan looked at Jia Rangu. Before going into seclusion, he had instructed that he should not be disturbed unless it was important. The royal family of Shuiyu ancient country wants to meet with the master, Jia Rangu quickly said. The royal family of Shuiyu ancient country? Lin Yuan shook his head and said, I'm not interested. If it had been at the beginning when he first arrived, Lin Yuan might have been quite wary of the royal family of Shuyu ancient country. But now, not to mention the royal family of Shuyu ancient country, even if the royal families of the 12 ancient countries stood together, Lin Yuan wouldn't bat an eyelid. The royal family of Shuyu ancient country says they have a precious treasure to present. Zharan Gu added. A precious treasure? Lin Yuan's heart suddenly stirred. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 738 200 Years Later. Please subscribe. For a myriad tribes powerhouse like Lin Yuan, the only treasure of value in the two-dimensional world is an exotic item. Of course, the most precious is certainly the two-dimensional world itself, that is, the white paper. But even supreme beings cannot refine that white paper. The powerhouses trapped within naturally wouldn't harbor any thoughts about it. As for the exotic item owned by Shuyu ancient country, according to Lin Yuan, it was a blood rain tea tree. However, that blood rain tea tree had been taken away by several powerhouses who had stepped into the witch ancestor realm nearly 100 years ago. The miraculous aspect of the blood rain tea tree is no secret among the upper echelons of Shuyu ancient country. Upon realization of the value of exotic items within the two-dimensional world, the blood rain tea tree would definitely not have been overlooked and was eyed by powerhouses early on. It was simply beyond Shuyu ancient country's ability to retain. Could it be that Shuyu ancient country still hides other exotic items? Lin Yuan grew interested. When the royal family of Shuyu ancient country declared they had a treasure to offer, Lin Yuan naturally thought along these lines. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on. So be it. Let's meet then. Having made up his mind, Lin Yuan thought it was only appropriate to see for himself since it concerned an exotic item. Yes. Zharan Gu immediately responded. Since the master has agreed to meet, I shall notify them at once. Zharan Gu respectfully withdrew. Without Lin Yuan's permission, even the royal family of Shuyu ancient country would not dare to enter the vicinity of Luochuan gathering place uninvited. Over the years, even though Lin Yuan rarely took action, just the occasional demonstration was enough to deter Shuyu ancient country. After Zharan Gu went to notify the royal family of Shuyu ancient country, there was some time before their audience. Lin Yuan continued to take out the silver mirror and pour his spirit will into it. Hum, hum, hum. Accompanied by Lin Yuan using up a great amount of spirit will. The silver mirror in front of him gradually revealed its extraordinary nature. Faint silver radiance began to emerge. At the same time, Lin Yuan actually felt an extremely familiar fluctuation. Spatial fluctuation. It was purely spatial fluctuation, not involving any space rules. This is promising. Seeing this, Lin Yuan continued to maintain the infusion of his spirit will. Only a powerhouse in the witch ancestor 19th realm could possess such abundant spirit will. If it were someone in the 15th or 16th realm, they wouldn't even meet the prerequisite to activate this silver mirror. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, most of the day had gone by. Lin Yuan's brows slightly furrowed. Maintaining the infusion of spirit will, even Lin Yuan was feeling the strain. If this were to continue, it would likely impact his own strength. Just as Lin Yuan was contemplating whether to proceed. Swoosh! The silver mirror seemed to undergo a qualitative change. It began to float up slowly. The surface of the mirror rippled like mercury, creating gentle waves. What? Lin Yuan looked at the silver mirror floating up before him, a look of shock on his face. The fact that the mirror was floating did not surprise him. With his current strength, a full-force burst could also achieve brief levitation. It was simply a matter of letting one's blood and qi boil, unleashing a strong life magnetic field, thereby counteracting the force of gravity. What truly shocked Lin Yuan was the sensation of an independent space contained within the mirror. The space was not large, just about 10 square meters. But bear in mind, within the two-dimensional world, there is no concept of spatial depth. Everything is two-dimensional, everything is flat. And now, the space inside the mirror was akin to opening up a three-dimensional space within a two-dimensional plane, a notion utterly inconceivable, right? The direct size of my inner world has reached 2.331 billion miles in radius, and the number of layers and spatial layers exceeds 3 billion. Yet despite this, upon falling into this two-dimensional world, my inner world was instantly compressed into a sheet of paper, its existence nullified. Lin Yuan inwardly marveled. And now, within the silver mirror, there actually existed a standalone space being maintained. Should this standalone space return to the main universe and be completely unfolded, how vast would it become? Having the space in the mirror certainly does make things more convenient. Lin Yuan thought to himself, caressing the silver mirror over and over again. Although the space in the mirror was not large, it was more than enough to hold Lin Yuan's daily items, especially that pitch-black iron rod which was far too conspicuous to carry on his back. Now he could place the iron rod inside it. Whenever he wanted to use it, he could take it out in an instant. Furthermore, for Lin Yuan, the silver mirror possessed a crucial ability for safeguarding his life. If he ever encountered an attack he could not withstand, he could completely hide inside the silver mirror. As for the silver mirror's body exposed to the outside, the silver mirror being an exotic item, a 12-star strange treasures weapon, within this two-dimensional world, equates to an indestructible existence. Even if supreme beings were to fall in here, limited by the suppression of the two-dimensional world, unable to exert their full power, they still could not shake the silver mirror. Not bad. Not bad at all. Lin Yuan's heart felt elated. With this silver mirror in his possession, his means had once again become much richer. First, I will place the iron rod inside. With a thought from Lin Yuan, the nearly 2-meter-long pitch-black iron rod disappeared on the spot, being stored in the spatial area within the silver mirror. He then also put the bronze compass into it, a strange object that was of great use to Lin Yuan. Normally, he had to constantly pay attention to it when carrying it on his person. But once it was placed in the space within the silver mirror, he felt much more at ease. It didn't take long for Lin Yuan to understand the capabilities of the silver mirror. Members of the imperial family of Shuyu ancient country hurriedly arrived. CTH novel F. Ire. NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Coming to pay respects to Lin Yuan was the current emperor of the Shuyu ancient country, a middle-aged man with an air of great dignity. "Greetings to your excellency," said the Shuyu emperor, followed by several princes and ministers, with profound respect. The young man seated cross-legged in front of them. His mere presence imposed an almost invisible pressure that came from the essence of life itself, causing the group to bear an immense burden as sweat continuously beaded on their foreheads. "Is this the mysterious powerhouse hidden within our Shuyu ancient country?" The Shuyu emperor swallowed nervously. The recently concluded battle in the desolate northwestern region of the Shuyu ancient country not only spread widely among the powerhouses of the myriad clans, but also reached the ears of the local power, the Shuyu ancient country. Moreover, the royal family of Shuyu ancient country, based on numerous clues, had vaguely inferred that this mysterious powerhouse was none other than this young man before them. For over 100 years, a succession of unparalleled powerhouses emerged from the 12 ancient countries, causing the traditional ruling royal families to tremble with fear. If it were not utterly necessary, the Shuyu emperor truly did not wish to approach Lin Yuan because the pressure was too great to bear. "You may rise." Lin Yuan glanced at the respectful figures standing below, pausing slightly on one of them. That person was the prince of the northern town of Shuyu ancient country. Initially, Lin Yuan's acquisition of the bronze compass could be considered somewhat fated due to the prince's involvement. Had the northern town prince not been pursuing the Cloud Mountain 18 bandits, they would not have fled around the Luochuan gathering area. Even if Lin Yuan had set out to claim the bounty, he wouldn't have ventured too far from the Luochuan gathering area, and it was very likely he would have missed out on acquiring the bronze compass. Even in this two-dimensional world, cause and effect exist, it's just almost imperceptible, Lin Yuan thought to himself. In the Xiaoyu Evolution Tower, Lin Yuan had created an incarnation that was comprehending the cosmic aurora, rapidly enhancing his understanding of the law of causality. Now, meeting the northern town prince in such a manner could be considered a manifestation of karma. Excellency, these are the treasured items we wish to present. The Shuiyu emperor took out 2 wooden boxes. One box was large, the other small. The large one was half a meter long, while the small box was only 10 centimeters in size. Zha Rangu swiftly approached, taking the 2 wooden boxes and respectfully placing them in front of Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan opened the 2 wooden boxes with interest. Inside the large box was an axe, carved entirely from jade, small and exquisite. A faint sharp aura circulated between the edges of the axe blade. Inside the small box was a piece of wood. Even without touching it, Lin Yuan could feel a tremendous vitality emanating from within the wood. These 2 treasures. Lin Yuan's expression was unchanged, but his heart was slightly excited. The small and exquisite jade axe was likely a supreme weapon, similar to the pitch-black iron rod. And that piece of wood was probably some 12-star rare treasures material which, if placed in the main universe, would likely provoke a supreme being to compete for it. Shuiyu ancient country. Lin Yuan glanced at the Shuiyu emperor and his retinue below. Over the past century, the Shuiyu ancient country must have been scoured by numerous myriad tribes' powerhouses. Even so, they had still managed to retain these 2 treasures, clearly possessing some means. Speak. What do you want me to do? Lin Yuan asked indifferently. If the Shuiyu emperor and his entourage had traveled thousands of miles to see him and even presented valuable exotic items, they definitely had a request to make. May I ask if your excellency is related to the chase that occurred a while back in the northwestern region of the ancient country? The Shuiyu emperor asked cautiously. It was me, Lin Yuan answered directly. Now, with his power, there was no need to hide the truth. He simply admitted it outright. Your excellency's power is truly heaven-reaching, the Shuiyu emperor said with genuine amazement. The traces left by the great pursuit in the northwestern region had shattered the perceptions of the powerhouses within the Shuiyu royal family time and again. Just state your business, Lin Yuan said with a calm voice. Yes, the Shuiyu emperor composed himself. I hope your excellency will provide protection for our Shuiyu ancient country. Protection? Lin Yuan glanced at the Shuiyu emperor. He had anticipated this request. For indigenous ancient countries in the 2-dimensional world, there was bound to be a pervasive sense of panic facing the countless powerful beings descending upon them. This is what you'll do. From now on, you can simply announce to the outside world that I am your protector, Lin Yuan stated. Just like that. The Shuiyu emperor was somewhat stunned. With such an announcement, other powerhouses won't dare to take any undue action, Lin Yuan said softly. Among the myriad tribes' powerhouses, news traveled astoundingly fast. Once they learned that the mysterious powerhouse ranked 6th in the standings was protecting the Shuiyu ancient country, no one with 1,000 lives would dare to cause trouble. Yes, the Shuiyu emperor, though puzzled, dared not show any sign of objection. 1 month later, after the Shuiyu emperor returned to the capital and made the announcement, the Shuiyu empire indeed became much calmer, with the previously unruly powerhouses of the myriad clans now significantly subdued. Many among the myriad clans' powerhouses unanimously considered Lin Yuan to be a legendary being at Tier 11 perfection from the main universe. Who would dare to misbehave within the protective scope of such an entity? Time flew swiftly, and Lin Yuan continued to immerse himself in cultivation. Nearly 200 years flashed by in the blink of an eye. Only 2 months remained until the once-in-10,000 years opening of the Heavenly Gate. Search the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 739 Majestic Heavenly Mountain. Subscribe please. On the clear azure surface of the lake stood a 4-armed man in silence. He was only 167 meters tall, yet his invisible aura was vast and immeasurable, his 4 arms hinting at a disharmony with the surrounding world. 4 divine kings. 4 divine kings. 4 divine kings. Sar the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At the edge of the lake, dozens of figures whispered in a frenzied tone. 200 years ago, the power of the 4 divine kings had already far surpassed theirs. Another 200 years had passed, and the gap had only widened further. Is the celestial gate about to open? The 4 divine kings, the 4-armed man, slowly opened his eyes, which were profound as he spoke calmly. According to the time in this two-dimensional world, in 2 months the celestial gate will open. The leading figure at the shore immediately responded. Source, web novel. Com, updated on. The celestial gate opens every 10,000 years, which is the grandest event in this two-dimensional world. Countless powerhouses will go to witness it. Before the arrival of the myriad tribes' powerhouses, only those at the Witch Emperor level were qualified to vie for entry, and only the Witch Ancestor level would dare to ensure they could reach the celestial gate. Now, with the intervention of the myriad tribes' powerhouses, the threshold has been raised infinitely. Understood. We will set off for the heavenly mountain in 1 day, the 4 divine kings said slowly. The heavenly mountain is the most towering peak in this known two-dimensional world. Every time the celestial gate opens, it appears above the heavenly mountain, which eventually led to its name. Yes, the dozens of figures at the lake's edge nodded immediately. For divine kings we... The leading figure suddenly hesitated. Don't worry, you have handled so many trifles for me in this two-dimensional world. As long as I can leave, I will have a supreme being make a move and compensate you for your fundamental losses as much as possible. The 4 divine kings assured, looking at the many figures on the shore. These figures were all powerful and special beings, ancient gods who could dominate any part of the cosmic starry skies. Many thanks, for divine kings. We are in your debt, for divine kings. It is our honor to handle trifles for the 4 divine kings. The dozens of figures felt a slight relief in their hearts. Fundamental losses were irrevocable, but they could be compensated. As long as a supreme being made a move, and with a price paid, their losses could be reduced to a minimum. Of course, the supreme being was willing to act because the 4 divine kings would take all the extraordinary items from the two-dimensional world with them, and these items were partly their contribution. With the power of the 4 divine kings, who in this two-dimensional world could rival you? The leading figure spoke. The other figures agreed in unison. Although they were all 11th rank special beings, they knew they had no hope of leaving, first and foremost because they could not compete with the 4 divine kings before them. As for giving up this celestial gate opening and waiting for the next, that was a matter for the 9 strongest among them, not relevant to these somewhat mediocre special beings. And the current 9 strongest beings of the two-dimensional world all have similar status and are not subordinate to each other. Even if they were special beings, it was not possible. All right, you go down first and prepare, said the 4 divine kings. The figures quickly turned and left the lakeshore. Suddenly, the wide expanse of the lake was left with only the 4 divine kings. For 200 years, I've done my best to tap into the potential power of the ultimate weapon within me. In terms of combat power, I estimate that I have reached the upper limit of this two-dimensional world. The 4 divine kings thought silently to himself. Unlike the wonders of the two-dimensional world, his ultimate weapon had been brought from the outside world. This created a fundamental difference from the magical artifacts held by the myriad tribes' powerhouses. That is, the 4 divine kings' ultimate weapon had been refined. The other myriad tribes' powerhouses, even if they possessed magical artifacts as powerful as the 4 divine kings' ultimate weapon, could not refine them. They could only exert the lowest level of their power. Inside the two-dimensional world, many of the myriad tribes' powerhouses' techniques could not be executed, unable to refine magical artifacts. But the 4 divine kings' ultimate weapon had already been refined before entering this world. Even though having fallen into the two-dimensional world meant that many powers of the ultimate weapon were suppressed, the 4 divine kings were able to unite his mind with the refined weapon, and he slowly developed more of its powers. and this ultimate weapon was perfectly suited for the four divine kings, allowing the full extent of the highest combat power to be exerted. This time the celestial gate opens. I must be able to leave. The four divine kings was filled with confidence. As a level 11 perfect legendary being, he was already among the strongest of the many powerhouses of the myriad tribes, especially with his ultimate weapon in hand. With such a significant advantage, if he still couldn't leave, the four divine kings did not consider this a possibility. In a volcano before the boiling magma, a thin old man sat cross-legged, his figure like a seething flame, with the temperature around him soaring and the rock walls beginning to melt. "That's about enough? I have reached a limit." The thin old man exhaled lightly, and the temperatures nearby began to cool rapidly. "It's time to head to the heavenly mountain." The old man narrowed his eyes slightly. "This time, during the opening of the celestial gate, the only ones who can contend with me are a few old fellows, including the four divine kings." He brought a true ultimate weapon with him, indeed difficult to deal with. The thin old man stroked his chin, deep in thought. Normally, Tier 11 beings do not qualify to possess an ultimate weapon, even if they are level 11 perfect legendary beings. Even for the peak clans, an ultimate weapon is a part of their heritage, and a Tier 11 lifeform possessing one might likely attract a supreme being to seize it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 740 Majestic Heavenly Mountain. Please subscribe. _2 Supreme beings, though disdainful of using their strength to bully the weak, will still not mind doing so if there is sufficient benefit. Unless the ultimate weapon originated from another supreme being's gift. The four divine kings are highly regarded in the Star Alliance, treated as the next ultimate existences to be nurtured, which is why they were bestowed with an ultimate weapon. But in this two-dimensional world, even if one refines an ultimate weapon, how much of its potential can actually be unearthed? When the time comes, a few of us old-timers can join forces and simply take care of the four divine kings first. The thin, small elder thought to himself. In terms of sheer combat power, the four divine kings were definitely stronger than him, and among all the myriad tribes powerhouses who had descended this time, the four divine kings were most likely the strongest. But the strongest does not mean invincible. As long as they are not invincible, there is a possibility that the four divine kings can be dealt with suppressed. At least in the eyes of the thin elder, the four divine kings posed the greatest threat, and would certainly become his prime target when the time came. It can be foreseen that at the summit of Heavenly Mountain, the four divine kings will become the target of a collective assault. If the four divine kings are not taken care of first, a Tier 11 perfect legend like the thin, small elder would not dare to go all out. Source: updated on Wuxia World. Site: So enough. This time it's the perfect opportunity to discuss with those old friends how to deal with the four divine kings. A smile appeared on the thin elder's face. Aside from those few other Tier 11 perfect legends at the same level, he had not taken any of the myriad tribes' powerhouses seriously. Outside the 12 ancient countries, a hidden world force. Within the two-dimensional world, the 12 ancient countries are only the largest forces. Beyond the 12 ancient countries, there are many hidden world forces which in terms of heritage are no less than the ancient countries themselves, all established by a witch ancestor. These forces have always lived secluded from the world, uninterested in the information and intelligence of the outside world. Boom, boom, boom. Just then, within the depths of this hidden world force, a terrifying aura ascended, the massive power of chi and blood trembling. Witch ancestor. I have finally become a witch ancestor. An excited middle-aged man walked out. His name was Yen Fu, the strongest being of this hidden world force, who, after enduring strenuous cultivation, had finally stepped into the witch ancestor realm. In a two-dimensional world, for native beings to cultivate up to the level of witch ancestor is more difficult than ascending to heaven. In the past, whenever the heavenly gate opened, it was mostly contested by witch emperors. As for the witch ancestors, As long as a witch ancestor could be born, it was almost certain they would enter the heavenly gate. It's perfect timing that I entered the witch ancestor realm just before the opening of the heavenly gate. The task that my ancestors didn't accomplish, it falls upon me to complete. Yan Fu was emotionally stirred. For life in the two-dimensional world, entering the heavenly gate is the ultimate goal, the ultimate dream. Even for a witch ancestor, entry into the heavenly gate is not guaranteed. The heavenly gate opens every 10,000 years, but the lifespan of a witch ancestor is at most 2,000 to 3,000 years. Therefore, to enter the heavenly gate, even witch ancestors need good fortune. Yan Fu's ancestral witch ancestor was not so lucky. He became a witch ancestor only 800 years after the heavenly gate last opened, directly extinguishing all hope of entering the heavenly gate. Deep within the cosmic starry skies, a mysterious and ancient scroll gradually unfurled. Dozens of supreme beings observed solemnly, studying a piece of white paper in the distance. In the two-dimensional world, there are still 2 months left before the opening of the heavenly gate, but in the main universe it's just a matter of a little over 10 hours. The flow of time in the two-dimensional world and the main universe is not consistent, with a ratio of 100 to 1. Heavenly Gate. This opening of the heavenly gate may be our chance to glimpse the essence of this white paper. Indeed, if the heavenly gate is truly an internal connection of the white paper to the outside world, during its opening, we can completely take the chance to uncover some hidden aspects of the white paper. It may even help us in refining this white paper. One after another, supreme beings await with grave anticipation. 2 years have passed, and they remained clueless about this white paper, so they put all their hopes on the heavenly gate that was about to open. Feather Butterfly, is the Void Realm world ready? Xia Qin Supreme Being looked toward the Feather Butterfly Supreme Being beside him. Don't worry. Once the heavenly gate opens, if even a hint of breath leaks from the two-dimensional world within the white paper, it will be captured by the Void Realm world. By that time, the similarity of the replicated two-dimensional world will be even higher. The Feather Butterfly Supreme Being nodded, her evolution path as a supreme being originating from the Void Realm world. Thus she naturally had mastery over it. That's good, Xia Qin Supreme Being said. I wonder what realm that youngster has cultivated to by now. Xia Qin Supreme Being suddenly thought. The youngster he mentioned was, of course, Lin Yuan. Ever since learning 200 years ago that Lin Yuan was already the terrifying 19th realm, which ancestor Xia Qin Supreme Being had pinned all his hopes for the evolution of human civilization from the two-dimensional world on him. Couldn't be helped. 200 years ago, aside from Lin Yuan, the strongest evolver in human civilization was only at the 14th realm. As Xia Qin Supreme Being's thoughts were turning, a voice suddenly came through. Xia Qin, what have you decided? A supreme being from the Star Alliance looked over, transmitting his words secretly. He still did not want to give up on the marvels collected by the human civilization evolvers. As long as they are brought out through the 4 divine kings, the Star Alliance could gain greatly from it. Since the Star Alliance was not in a hostile relationship with human civilization, this supreme being, who achieved his ultimate being status through a unique life form, wasn't too concerned about human civilization profiting in the end. Chapter 741 Majestic Heavenly Mountain. Please subscribe. _3 Furthermore, the Star Alliance's cut reached 60%. The more benefits human civilization obtained, the more the Star Alliance would receive. Let's wait and see, Xia Qin Supreme Being said with a smile. Without Lin Yuan, he probably would have already cooperated with the Star Alliance. After all, those wonders within the two-dimensional world were meaningless to the clans unless brought out. Even if the Star Alliance took a cut and human civilization only received 40%, it was better than nothing. Wait and see. This Star Alliance Supreme Being looked at Xia Qin Supreme Being. Does the human evolver who fell into the two-dimensional world possess 11th rank perfect life? 2 years ago, when Xia Qin Supreme Being replied, "Let me think it over," this Star Alliance Supreme Being was just a bit puzzled. But now, with the heavenly gate about to open and Xia Qin Supreme Being still replying, "Let's wait and see," a Supreme Being of the Star Alliance was no fool. He immediately conjectured two possibilities. One was that the Human Civilization Alliance had already cooperated with other powers and entrusted the task of bringing out the oddities to these allies. The other was that the human evolver who fell into the two-dimensional world was confident enough to compete for the strongest, hopeful of obtaining a place to enter the Heavenly Gate. Compared to the first possibility, the Star Alliance Supreme Being was more inclined to believe the second. Source: updated on Wuxia World. Site: After all, so far, he had a good idea of which forces possessed powerhouses close to the four divine kings within the two-dimensional world. It was very unlikely for human civilization to cooperate with them, and even if they did cooperate, the cut would certainly be much higher than what the Star Alliance required. Human civilization had no need to make things difficult by looking too far. You all know about the 11th level perfected evolver from my Human Civilization Alliance, don't you? Xia Qin's Supreme Being retorted. He did not disclose anything about Lin Yuan, not even a hint of information. In the two-dimensional world, the higher the profile, the more dangerous it was, as it made one an easy target for concerted attacks. The four divine kings were like this, but they had supreme weapons integrated into their bodies, ensuring they could withstand an attack even if surrounded. You'll know when the time comes. The Star Alliance Supreme Being pondered for a moment and then stopped thinking further. Even if human civilization truly had an 11th rank perfected evolver in the two-dimensional world, it was unlikely they could rival the four divine kings. Even without the four divine kings, it would still be difficult to match those other 11th rank perfect legendary lives. In terms of pure combat power, human evolvers were generally at a disadvantage against powerful special beings within the same rank. 8th layer evolvers creating their inner world narrowed the gap between them and special beings, but it was only a narrowing. Deep underground, Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. His aura was completely retracted, almost merging with the surrounding soil, but within his flesh, every drop of blood was exceedingly viscous, and his flesh and internal organs were nearly strong to an unimaginable degree. The 50th realm of the Witch Ancestor. Lin Yuan straightened up slightly, and the sound of his bones colliding was like thunder, twisting the air around him. It's time to go. Lin Yuan slowly stood up and threw a gentle punch, a terrifying force piercing dozens of miles, creating a wide passage between his current position and the ground surface. My current strength, I wonder how it compares to the four divine kings with their supreme weapons? Lin Yuan thought to himself. In terms of realm, he was confident he surpassed the four divine kings, but his combat power was uncertain as the opponent had a refined supreme weapon. Nobody knew how powerful it could be in this two-dimensional world. 200 years. Ever since 100 years ago when I stepped into the 40th realm of the Witch Ancestor, I felt my progress slowing down, spending a full 100 years going from the 40 realms to the 50th. Lin Yuan sighed. The closer to the limit, the more difficult it was to take another step forward. Never mind. There are still 2 months before the Heavenly Gate opens. I can set off now. With a single step, Lin Yuan appeared on the ground surface moments later. This trip to the Heavenly Mountain, I'll see the strength of other powerhouses. If they are all far weaker than me, I'll sweep through and enter the Heavenly Gate directly. If there are those whose combat power is close to mine, I'll give up the opportunity for this opening of the Heavenly Gate and wait for the next one in 10,000 years. Lin Yuan set a plan for himself. The longer the time, the stronger his power would grow. In terms of realm advancement, Lin Yuan had against heaven's understanding, undoubtedly far surpassing the myriad tribes' powerhouses. Even 11th rank perfect legendary lives were far inferior to him. So there was no need for him to compete with other powerhouses during this opening period of the Heavenly Gate. Go straight to Heavenly Mountain. There is no need to stop by the Luo River Gathering Ground or the Shuiyu Ancient Country Capital. After settling on a direction, Lin Yuan strode forward. Ever since stepping into the Witch Ancestor's 20th realm, Lin Yuan rarely appeared in the Luo River Gathering Ground because his strength was too formidable. Mishandling it could lead to catastrophic consequences for the Gathering Ground. And the Shuiyu Ancient Country Capital, apart from visiting in the early years, Lin Yuan hardly ever went back. More than 10 days later, Lin Yuan was about to reach Heavenly Mountain. On this journey, I've already sensed the presence of quite a few myriad tribes' powerhouses. Lin Yuan thought quietly to himself. The vast majority of the myriad tribes' powerhouses came in groups. Over the past 200 years, strong powerhouses from the myriad clans had often hunted other tribes, so those who survived now were grouped together. Those myriad tribes' powerhouses who did not group up were mostly very confident, most likely Tier 11 beings. Since the descent of the myriad tribes' powerhouses into this two-dimensional world, more than 300 years had passed, and no more than 200,000 of them were still alive. Among those 200,000, there were just over 200 Tier 11 powerhouses, down by one-third from just over 300 in the beginning. A moment later, Lin Yuan finally arrived at Heavenly Mountain. Is that Heavenly Mountain? Lin Yuan stopped in his tracks, gazing at the distant towering mountain, and his expression became slightly more solemn. Chapter 742 Numerous Wonders. Please subscribe. In the past 200 years, Lin Yuan had also visited Heavenly Mountain, but each time he observed, he still felt somewhat shocked. Heavenly Mountain was probably around 80 or 90,000 meters high, seemingly insignificant when compared with the vast stars in the cosmic starry skies. However, Lin Yuan could vaguely sense that the entire Heavenly Mountain was flowing with an inexplicable and mysterious aura. This aura reminded Lin Yuan of the similar feeling he had when he was on the ancestral star of human civilization. No, to be precise, the aura flowing from Heavenly Mountain was even more vast and profound than that of the ancestral star of human civilization. If Heavenly Mountain is already like this, I wonder what the scene will be like when the Sky Gate appears. Lin Yuan thought to himself quietly. Although he had seen descriptions of the Sky Gate in many ancient texts and records, the understandings of the Sky Gate by those native beings from the two-dimensional world couldn't even describe a tiny fraction of its reality. Just like the towering Heavenly Mountain in front of him, in the eyes of the natives from the two-dimensional world, it was merely a little taller and famous only because of the Sky Gate. But in front of Lin Yuan, it was infinitely mysterious. Source: updated on Wuxia world. Site. So sometimes, the higher one's level of existence, the deeper the feeling and the more one knows and sees. The core area of this two-dimensional world should be this Heavenly Mountain, Lin Yuan speculated in his heart. Here, the core area didn't refer to the physical core but rather the place closest to the depths of the two-dimensional world. Just as Lin Yuan stopped and carefully observed the Heavenly Mountain not far away. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. One after another, formidable beings raced towards him. These strong entities exuded powerful auras, releasing them without restraint. But upon seeing Lin Yuan, their expressions subtly changed. Isn't that the mysterious powerhouse from Shuyu ancient country? It should be him. The aura is similar, and he's carrying that dark iron rod on his back. I heard that 200 years ago, this mysterious powerhouse only took 2 breaths to kill Pei Shen, and even with his defensive artifact, Tuoba ancient god only lasted half a day. 6 or 7 powerhouses from the myriad tribes bowed respectfully from a distance towards Lin Yuan. This time, Lin Yuan came without concealing his appearance, mainly because when he had moved against Tuoba ancient god and other special beings before, he had exposed his aura. Within the two-dimensional world, the aura of every living being can't be changed. In such a case, there was no need for Lin Yuan to hide his appearance, because he would be recognized anyway. As for the dark iron rod on his back, since he couldn't hide his identity, there wasn't much point in keeping this special object inside the independent space contained within the silver mirror. Because the enemies would certainly be wary of this move, it could expose the secret of the silver mirror instead. Inside the space of the silver mirror, Lin Yuan stored other trump cards, such as the Jade Axe, an extremely sharp artifact, which was completely different in style from the dark iron rod. Used at the right moment, it could completely play a role in changing the course of a battle. In the distance, the 6 or 7 powerhouses from the myriad clans were still stealthily observing Lin Yuan. This mysterious powerhouse from Shuyu ancient country, not having made a move in the past 200 years, still ranks among the top 9 powerhouses, and although he's only 9th, his strength is immeasurable. To not have made a move for 200 years and still be ranked 9th is terrifying. Who knows what strength he possesses now? These few powerhouses from the myriad clans whispered amongst themselves. They came to see the Sky Gate this time with no intention of entering it, as the possibility was almost zero. It's time to meet up with the human evolvers. Lin Yuan glanced at the 6 or 7 powerhouses of the myriad clans in the distance, without paying them too much attention. Before his last retreat, the Xiaqin Supreme Being had instructed him to meet up with the evolvers of human civilization after reaching Heavenly Mountain. The purpose of this was to have all human civilization evolvers fully assist Lin Yuan and strive for the possibility of entering the Sky Gate. Although no one from the human civilization evolvers had yet reached the level of the top 9 powerhouses, the efforts of many Tier 11 evolvers could still be somewhat effective. Most importantly, having these human civilization evolvers beside him meant Lin Yuan didn't have to feel too much pressure. As a peak clan, the human civilization, besides having the 9 supreme beings, had unity as their most important attribute. Going alone? Even those unique special beings were forced to establish the Star Alliance to confront the grand alliances of peak clans like human civilization and the insect race. Moreover, if he could enter the Sky Gate, Lin Yuan still needed to acquire some special objects from human civilization to take with him. He would have to make contact with the human civilization evolvers then. I have the silver mirror. With the independent space inside it, even some special artifacts can be easily brought out. Lin Yuan thought to himself. Other powerhouses didn't have the silver mirror and, even for the 4 divine kings at most, they could only take out ordinary artifacts. Abnormally sized artifacts, such as objects several meters in size, would become inconvenient. Without knowing whether they had to enter immediately after the Sky Gate opened, how could they carry an object of several meters in size with them? That would only be a hindrance and drag down their combat capability. Close to Heavenly Mountain, Yen Fu, who had just entered the Witch Ancestor realm, had harbored great ambitions, planning to showcase his strength at Heavenly Mountain to intimidate the 12 ancient countries. But before he even reached Heavenly Mountain, he couldn't help but tremble. Isn't it said that Witch Ancestor-level powerhouses are stable entrants into the Sky Gate? Wasn't it said that in past Sky Gate openings, the competing powerhouses were only Witch Emperors? Yen Fu couldn't understand. Along the way, he had cautiously sensed dozens of auras, all without exception at the Witch Ancestor level. And in Yen Fu's perception, it was far beyond the level of a Witch Ancestor like himself who had just entered the realm. This caused Yen Fu's mentality to somewhat collapse. Having stepped into the Witch Ancestor realm, he had originally thought he could dominate the world. But after sensing for a long time, he found himself to be the weakest among them. How could there be so many Witch Ancestors? Yen Fu could not comprehend. He had transitioned from a witch to Witch King, then to Witch Emperor, and now to a Witch Ancestor. He knew all too well the difficulty of becoming a Witch Ancestor. Should I still go to Heavenly Mountain now? Yen Fu looked toward the distant Heavenly Mountain whose outline was faintly visible, and for a moment he hesitated. The presence of dozens of powerful Witch Ancestor auras he sensed earlier made him somewhat fearful of the Heavenly Mountain in the distance. He hadn't even reached Heavenly Mountain yet, but with so many powerhouses around, once he got close, his life might even be in danger. Go! I have cultivated for 600 years, just to witness the Heavenly Gate. No matter how many powerhouses there are, nothing can stop me from heading to Heavenly Mountain. Eventually, Yen Fu, a 1 in a million existence among native lives, quickly adjusted his mentality and continued toward Heavenly Mountain. However, compared to before, Yen Fu was much more low-profile this time, not even daring to leak a hint of his breath, and he would stop every once in a while, survey his surroundings briefly, and then resume his journey. At the foot of Heavenly Mountain, within a manor, this was a stronghold of human civilization where the Heavenly Gate appeared. More than 200 or 300 years ago, evolvers from human civilization had rushed here to establish a base. This was the advantage of having a powerful backing. They didn't need to worry about minor matters, as specialized personnel had already taken care of them. At this moment, deep within the manor, more than 20 figures gathered. All these figures were Tier 11 evolvers from human civilization, sitting here as if they were waiting for something. The Supreme Being asked us to wait here, saying that an important figure from our human civilization would come. Who exactly is this important figure, for whom the Supreme Being specifically gave orders? The many Tier 11 evolvers were curious. Having cultivated to Tier 11, they already belonged to the top echelons of human civilization. Most of the powerhouses within the clans were well known to each other. Yet they had no idea about this important figure mentioned by the Supreme Being. According to the Supreme Being, we need to assist this important figure to the best of our abilities, even if it means sacrificing this avatar. A tall female evolver spoke out, her tone slightly puzzled. For an important figure necessitating the sacrifice of an avatar for their assistance by these Tier 11 evolvers, who could it be? Could it be that this important figure has the qualifications to compete for the Heavenly Gate spot? One of the Tier 11 evolvers speculated. That must be the case. Yes, otherwise it wouldn't warrant the Supreme Being being so serious. Our human civilization has such a person among the powerhouses who fell into this two-dimensional world. The Tier 11 evolvers conversed with each other, all highly curious about the important figure mentioned by the Supreme Being. Among the more than 20 Tier 11 evolvers, Nalan, the Deputy Tower Master sitting in a corner, was just quietly listening. Although he was also a Tier 11 evolver, he had only recently reached Tier 11 and there was a difference in status and position between him and the seasoned Tier 11s present. I wonder where the Galaxy Master is now? Nalan, the Deputy Tower Master, pondered other matters in his mind. In his view, the Galaxy Master had incredible talent, but there was still a significant gap compared to those Tier 11 perfect legendary lives. The opening of the Heavenly Gate this time was probably just an occasion for observation. Suddenly, at that moment, a figure appeared outside the manor. All the Tier 11 evolvers present immediately noticed. Someone is outside? Is it the important figure mentioned by the Supreme Being? The more than 20 Tier 11 evolvers immediately rose to their feet and came outside the manor to greet the newcomer personally. When they saw the face of the arrival and felt the aura, they were immediately taken aback. The mysterious powerhouse from Shuiyu ancient country? Over 200 years ago, this mysterious powerhouse acted, killing both Tuoba ancient god and Peishin, two Tier 11 special lives ranked in the 5th tier. My goodness! This mysterious powerhouse from Shuiyu ancient country comes from our human civilization. The tall female Tier 11 evolver stepped forward and communicated with Lin Yuan to confirm his identity, and the rest of the Tier 11 evolvers immediately erupted in excitement. May I ask how you are addressed? The tall woman spoke with a hint of respect. Her name was Shenyuan Dua, and in the two-dimensional world, she was one of the strongest evolvers among humans, being listed among the 9 greatest powerhouses during the early days of arrival. However, she was soon replaced. Just call me Shuiyu, Lin Yuan said casually. In the two-dimensional world, every powerhouse faced suppression, their aura completely different from the outer world, along with changes to their appearance and build, even altering their methods of combat. Unless one acknowledged their identity, it was very difficult for others to deduce who they truly were. Lord Shuiyu, the tall woman, Shenyuan Dua, invited Lin Yuan into the manor and then opened a large chest, revealing many strange and wondrous objects inside. Then, I shall leave these wonders in your care, Lord Shuiyu, Shenyuan Dua said gravely. The 10 or so odd items in the chest were the results of what countless evolvers from human civilization had gathered and searched for over the past 300 years. According to the Supreme Being's intentions, all these wonders were to be handed over to Lin Yuan for safekeeping. These wonders... Lin Yuan's gaze swept over the many strange objects, his expression suddenly revealing surprise. Chapter 743 Appearance of the Heavenly Gate. Subscription request. The items inside the box were of various shapes. Hammers, swords, armors, and more. With over a dozen of these extraordinary items gathered together, even in this two-dimensional world that suppressed all laws, Lin Yuan could feel a strong, extraordinary aura surging. Among them, What caught Lin Yuan's eye was a tower-shaped extraordinary item, which emitted fluctuations of aura somewhat similar to those of a silver mirror. This tower-shaped item probably also contains an independent space inside. Though smaller than my mirror, Lin Yuan thought to himself. The aura emitted by the tower-shaped item was slightly inferior to that of the silver mirror. But haven't they discovered the use of this extraordinary item? Lin Yuan glanced at Shen Yuandua before him. If they could utilize the function of the tower-shaped item, they wouldn't have needed this box to store over a dozen items. They could have just stored everything safely within the independent space of the tower-shaped item, inconspicuously. Lin Yuan thought for a moment and then understood why this was the case. Initially, to develop the capabilities of the silver mirror, he had focused his mental energy into it for almost half a day. It nearly impacted his own strength. At that time, Lin Yuan was already at the Witch Ancestor 19th realm. Lin Yuan's Witch Ancestor 19th realm was achieved by perfecting each previous realm, ultimately stepping into the 19th realm. Source: updated on NOVG0. That was probably equivalent to the normal myriad tribes powerhouses at about Witch Ancestor 25th realm. Meaning, the minimum threshold to develop the tower-shaped item was the Witch Ancestor 25th realm. And the currently strongest evolver within human civilization, Shen Yuandua, was barely at the Witch Ancestor 20th realm. Unless she risked everything, depleting all her mental energy, she might have been able to activate the independent space inside the tower-shaped item. But Shen Yuandua would not do such a thing, as the risks involved were too great. Should she encounter an attack from other myriad tribes powerhouses during this period, human civilization might very well be ousted prematurely, like the Tianyu clan. Most of the evolvers within human civilization weren't like Lin Yuan, hiding in some inconspicuous corner. They established bases in the ancient country capital, needing strong warriors stationed at all times to prevent mishaps. I can keep half of these items if I can take them out, Lin Yuan thought to himself as he looked over the items. This was the promise given to him by Xia Qin's Supreme Being. The more items he could take out, the more he could keep. Of course, Lin Yuan could also choose not to take the items and instead exchange them for corresponding merit points to redeem other precious resources collected by human civilization. So far, submitting 12-star Strange Treasures weapons is one of the few means to earn a massive amount of merit points within human civilization. Because each 12-star exotic treasures weapon potentially aids the entirety of human civilization, its value naturally equates to merit points. Is there also an armor item? Lin Yuan looked at the ash-gray armor in the box. In comparison to the inner armor Lin Yuan was wearing, this armor was significantly bulkier and surely offered better defense than merely an inner armor. Never mind. The inner armor is sufficient for my needs. Lin Yuan gave up on the idea of wearing the oversized armor, as its bulkiness could impair his agility. Of course, that was a drawback specific to this two-dimensional world. If outside, these items could change size at will, as long as they could be refined, completely transformable according to one's desires. Then I'll take it. Lin Yuan activated the silver mirror and directly moved the box in front of him into the mirror. Lin Yuan had also mentioned the capabilities of the silver mirror to Xia Qin's Supreme Being, which is why the Supreme Being decided to entrust him with the custody of all the items. One reason was his strength. The other was convenience. Spatial fluctuations? Shen Yuandua was startled when she saw this scene. To cause spatial fluctuations inside the two-dimensional world, not even an 11th rank evolver at their peak could achieve that. Does this signify that Lord Shueyu possesses an item containing a complete space? Shen Yuandua thought, her expression growing more respectful. Meanwhile, she guessed which legendary evolver from human civilization Lord Shueyu might be. Undoubtedly, the name Blood Rain used by Lin Yuan was a casually chosen code name to conceal his true identity. Shen Yuandua, hailing from the Shen Yuan family, one of the strongest evolver families established by the offspring of supreme beings in human civilization, knew virtually all 11th rank evolvers in human civilization, but she failed to find any legendary evolver at perfect tier 11 resembling Lin Yuan. Could he be from that place? Shen Yuandua's expression subtly changed. When Lin Yuan met with the human civilization evolvers, there was still a month and a half before the opening of Heavenly Gate. But to be safe, on that afternoon, Lin Yuan led a group of human evolvers to march towards the peak of Heavenly Mountain. In the past, whenever the Heavenly Gate opened, it always appeared above the peak of Heavenly Mountain, the place closest to the gate. Human civilization's powerhouses have arrived. The powerhouses from human civilization within this two-dimensional world this time aren't exceptionally remarkable. Huh? Who is leading them? Why haven't we seen him before? Is he that mysterious powerhouse from the Shuyu ancient country? Why would such a mysterious powerhouse gather with human civilization? Could it be that this mysterious powerhouse comes from within human civilization? On their way to the peak of Heavenly Mountain, other powerhouses from the myriad clans also noticed the group of human evolvers, and being part of the peak clans, they garnered attention wherever they went. Chapter 744 The Heavenly Gate Appears. Subscription request. _2 When these powerhouses of the myriad clans saw that Lin Yuan was the one leading the human civilization evolvers, their hearts were filled with astonishment. The mysterious powerhouse from Shuyu ancient country, although he had only made a move once 200 years ago, had stunned the four quarters and was still ranked among the 9 greatest powerhouses. Originally, many powerhouses of the myriad clans had speculated about the identity of this mysterious powerhouse, and it was most likely that he was a unique special life form similar to the mother of the tree realm and the 4 divine kings. But now, upon seeing him, this mysterious powerhouse actually hailed from human civilization. Worthy of human civilization. Terrifying, human civilization possesses such a powerhouse, and yet there was no hint of it until today? It might not necessarily be a powerhouse from human civilization. Perhaps it was just a collaboration with human civilization. The powerhouses of the myriad clans discussed among themselves, most of them clearly understanding that they had no hope of leaving the two-dimensional world. Their purpose in coming to Heavenly Mountain was to glimpse those lives strongest under the Supreme Being in the cosmic starry skies. Lord Shuyu was not our human civilization's powerhouse? Shenyuan Dua glanced at the surrounding myriad tribes' powerhouses and subtly shook her head. Source: updated on N0VG0. So from the tone a Supreme Being had instructed her, Shenyuan Dua was almost certain that Lin Yuan was from human civilization. If he were an outsider, a Supreme Being wouldn't possibly trust him to hand over all the rare items. Beyond the scroll, a Supreme Being of the Star Alliance glanced at Xia Qin's Supreme Being and rapidly transmitted a message. So this is the confidence of your human civilization? As the powerhouses of the myriad clans saw Lin Yuan leading the human evolvers towards the summit of Heavenly Mountain, they naturally spread the news, and a Supreme Being of the Star Alliance immediately knew of it. Xia Qin's Supreme Being looked at the Supreme Being of the Star Alliance and said nothing. By this point, there was no need for concealment. In face of the celestial gate soon to be opened, all forces needed to be gathered. That's why he had Lin Yuan join up with the human evolvers. It wasn't that he thought Shenyuan Dua and other human evolvers could bring great help to Lin Yuan, but at least when other powerful entities were restrained, Shenyuan Dua and the other human evolvers could intervene. I watched the video of your human civilization evolvers' last battle. For an 11th level perfected evolver to possess such combat power is indeed rare, but this time, when the celestial gate opens, competing with us special beings, you are still lacking, said the Supreme Being of the Star Alliance again through transmission. He was speaking the truth. In the two-dimensional world, those strong special beings had far too great an advantage. Let's see after the celestial gate opens. Xia Qin's Supreme Being shook his head. The Supreme Being of the Star Alliance thought Lin Yuan was some 11th level perfected evolver of human civilization. But in fact, Lin Yuan was a 10th rank evolver who had just entered the 10th rank not long ago. In just over 100 years, with the strength of the 10th rank, he had crushed Tuoba Ancient God and other 5th-tier 11th rank special beings. Such talent and ability were unheard of by Xia Qin's Supreme Being. The 4 Divine Kings, being 11th rank complete legendary life forms, probably wouldn't even qualify to be compared to Lin Yuan if it weren't for that supreme weapon they had brought along. Soon, Lin Yuan arrived at the summit of Heavenly Mountain with the human evolvers. The summit of Heavenly Mountain was vast and broad, where at this moment at least 100,000 myriad tribes' powerhouses had gathered. 4 Divine Kings? Lin Yuan instantly spotted the four-armed man sitting cross-legged in the central area of the mountain. Nobody from the myriad tribe's powerhouses dared approach this four-armed man, which was why Lin Yuan immediately noticed him. Is this Wuxia Qin Supreme being warned me to treat cautiously, and if uncertain, to yield this celestial gate spot and prepare for the next opening? Lin Yuan observed the four divine kings carefully. In Xia Qin Supreme Being's eyes, it wasn't the four divine kings himself that was fearsome, but the supreme weapon he had brought along. A fully refined supreme weapon might unleash a power far beyond the limits of the two-dimensional world. His arms, Lin Yuan's gaze lingered on the four arms of the four divine kings. This was also where the opponent's supreme weapon integrated. They don't look strong, but it could also be that he's concealing his breath, not exerting his full strength. Lin Yuan thought to himself. Just like him now, as long as he doesn't deliberately exude his aura, the other myriad tribes' powerhouses would not be able to detect anything. The reason those myriad tribes' powerhouses feared Lin Yuan was entirely due to his dominant battle against Tuoba ancient god 200 years ago. Let's observe a bit more. Lin Yuan shifted his gaze from the four divine kings, turning his attention to other myriad tribes' powerhouses. Among them, a thin old man burning like flames and a 3-meter-tall robust man and a few other powerhouses caught Lin Yuan's eye. Chapter 745 The Heavenly Gate Appears. Subscription request, _3. Let's begin the selection then, nodded the four divine kings. The very next moment, a terrifying presence, with the four divine kings at its center, swept through in all directions. At the same time, 4 or 5 other 11th rank complete legendary lives also freely released their own auras. In an instant, a horrifying suppressive force enveloped the pinnacle of Heavenly Mountain, and all the myriad tribes' powerhouses felt a vast force bearing down upon them. What's going on? What are the four divine kings doing? They're cleansing the field. The four divine kings are cleansing the field. Some of the myriad tribes' powerhouses immediately realized something, their faces turning ugly. From now on, only those who can withstand our pressure for the time it takes an incense stick to burn will have the right to stand atop Heavenly Mountain, came the cold voice of the four divine kings. With their strength, if they joined forces with other 11th rank complete legendary lives, they could completely massacre the myriad tribes' powerhouses present. But doing so would inevitably offend the forces behind these powerhouses. After 200 to 300 years of hunting, the surviving powerhouses of the myriad clans had grown wise and would not carry treasures on their person. Source: updated on Wuxia World. Site: Co. If it were for treasures, the four divine kings wouldn't mind stirring up a massacre, but slaughtering these powerhouses of the myriad clans now was completely pointless. Hence, the four divine kings and other powerhouses chose to cleanse the field. Stand for the time it takes an incense stick to burn? I feel like I can't even withstand it for 10 breaths. Some of the myriad tribes' powerhouses were trembling in their legs, not hesitating in the least to exit the range of the mountain summit. After 300 years of hard cultivation, I finally reached the witch ancestor's 10th realm, only to find I don't even have the right to watch the heavenly gate open from the summit, said a powerhouse of the myriad clans, his expression dejected. He was a 10th rank powerhouse in the outside world and had thought that falling into the two-dimensional world would be an opportunity for him. After all, even 11th rank lives would be starting from the same point as him, but he hadn't expected the gap to still be so unimaginably big. Such a terrifying pressure. What realm are the four divine kings really at? A certain 11th rank powerhouse looked serious. He was confident he could withstand the pressure for the time it takes an incense stick to burn, but this was merely the pressure released by the four divine kings. Struggling so hard against the four divine kings' pressure, what hope did he have when facing their actual killing intent, let alone competing for a spot through the heavenly gate? The four divine kings have cultivated at least to the witch ancestor 30th realm, mused a grim myriad tribes powerhouse standing there. He was an 11th rank 5th tier powerhouse, and it was easy for him to withstand the length of an incense stick under the pressure of the four divine kings. but from the aura and suppressive force emitted by the 4 divine kings and other 11th rank complete legendary lives, one could vaguely estimate the true strength of the 4 divine kings. On the side of human civilization, Lin Yuan stood quietly, his expression calm and without the slightest fluctuation. The 4 divine kings and other 11th rank complete legendary lives joining forces to clear the field did not cross Lin Yuan's bottom line. He even preferred to watch this scene, taking the opportunity to observe the true strength of the 4 divine kings and other powerhouses. Although they have released their auras, they have not yet activated that supreme weapon, Lin Yuan thought, gazing distantly at the 4 divine kings. Let's wait and see. Lin Yuan was not in a hurry, wanting to see the 4 divine kings use that supreme weapon before deciding whether he should compete for a spot through the heavenly gate this time. You all. Lin Yuan glanced at his surroundings. At this moment, apart from Shen Yuan Dua and others, the evolvers of human civilization looked somewhat strained. They would likely struggle to withstand it for the time it takes an incense stick to burn. Under the combined suppressive force of the 4 divine kings and the few other 11th rank complete legendary lives, the myriad tribes powerhouses below the witch ancestor 18th realm could hardly hold on. Especially Nalen, who had turned red in the face. As a newly promoted 11th rank evolver, he probably couldn't last even half the time it takes an incense stick to burn. Don't be distracted. With a thought, Lin Yuan began to help them bear the pressure. Suddenly, the faces of Shen Yuan Dua and other evolvers relaxed considerably. Thank you, Lord Shuayu. Shen Yuan Dua and the others immediately expressed their gratitude. At the central summit, the 4 divine kings appeared slightly astonished as they looked towards the side of human civilization. Interesting. The 4 divine kings faintly felt that the pressure they had released was being invisibly diluted as it encountered the vicinity of the human civilization evolvers. Accomplishing this was far more difficult than simply resisting his pressure. This evolver from human civilization shouldn't be underestimated. The 4 divine kings thought highly of Lin Yuan for a moment, but then ceased to pay attention. Chapter 746 Cross this line and die? Please subscribe. The Heavenly Gate. The Heavenly Gate has appeared. This is the Heavenly Gate. I feel the entire two-dimensional world is trembling. I now believe that through the Heavenly Gate, one can truly leave this world. At the mountainside, many of the myriad tribes' powerhouses were visibly excited, staring intently at the sky above the mountaintop, where, under the surging force of space, a heavenly gate over 10 meters tall was gradually taking shape from its ethereal beginnings. Heavenly Gate? The 4 divine kings' gaze was solemn, and even though he considered himself invincible in the two-dimensional world, he was somewhat nervous now. The Heavenly Gate was critical to whether he could leave. Other myriad tribes' powerhouses who stayed in the two-dimensional world paid the price by losing part of their spirit will. But for him, the 4 divine kings, if he couldn't return to the universe, he would lose not only part of his spirit will but an ultimate weapon as well. Even for a supreme being, obtaining an ultimate weapon that completely suited oneself was no easy feat, and what about him, the 4 divine kings? If he were to lose this ultimate weapon in the two-dimensional world, the 4 divine kings would probably have to wait until he became a supreme being to obtain another suitable ultimate weapon. But how long would that take? And there was no guarantee for the 4 divine kings to become ultimate, to achieve ascendancy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been dragging his feet until now. I will be the one to enter the Heavenly Gate this time. The 4 divine kings' expression was fierce, and between his 4 arms, an indistinct, mysterious power was circulating. Is that the Heavenly Gate? From afar, Lin Yuan was also observing the Heavenly Gate. What a massive spatial fluctuation! Lin Yuan was astonished in his heart. The spatial fluctuation emitted by the silver mirror paled in comparison to the Heavenly Gate before him. It was like the light of a glowworm against the bright moon. The two were not on the same level at all. To leave the two-dimensional world, one must rely on the Heavenly Gate. Lin Yuan thought to himself that it was absolutely impossible for an individual alone to cause such a huge disturbance in the force of space. Outside the scroll, just as the heavenly gate was gradually becoming more tangible. Dozens of supreme beings were on high alert, anticipating that if the heavenly gate was the portal connecting the two-dimensional world with the main universe, then when the heavenly gate appeared, the two-dimensional world, severed by white paper, would establish a conduit to the main universe. At that time, the supreme beings, could better observe the essence of white paper. They could even interfere with the two-dimensional world. For example, forcefully fishing out the myriad tribes' powerhouses who were deeply trapped within. With the barrier of white paper, the supreme beings couldn't affect the inside of the two-dimensional world. But if a connection were established with the methods of a supreme being, fishing people out would be entirely doable. However, a moment later, the faces of the supreme beings outside the scroll turned ugly. What's going on? Why has the heavenly gate inside started to materialize, but there is still no change in the outside world? Based on the clan's reports, when the heavenly gate materializes, there is a massive fluctuation of spatial force. It's clearly the characteristic of establishing a spatial passage, so why is there no response from the outside now? Each of the supreme beings looked puzzled. Normally, with a spatial passage, if one side experiences a spatial fluctuation, the other side should as well, otherwise how could they connect? Did something unexpected happen? Let's wait a bit longer. Perhaps it's because the heavenly gate hasn't fully manifested, so it hasn't affected the outside world yet. Yes, let's keep waiting. Once the heavenly gate is completely formed, it should be about time. Many supreme beings exchanged glances and patiently began to wait again. Having lived through long eons, what they didn't lack was patience. At the summit of Heavenly Mountain, just as the heavenly gate was gradually taking shape, the 4 divine kings and 5 other 11th rank perfect legendary lives suddenly charged toward the heavenly gate. Boom boom boom. Sia the Nephire. A website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Terrible sonic booms reverberated in all directions. In just a blink of an eye, the 4 divine kings had exchanged hundreds of blows with the 5 other 11th rank perfect lives. We must take down the 4 divine kings first. The gaunt old man and the other 4 looked at each other and joined forces, pressing down towards the 4 divine kings. In their eyes, the 4 divine kings posed too great a threat. Keeping the 4 divine kings would only allow them to pick the spoils after the others had battled. You want to take me down first? You are not worthy. The 4 divine kings laughed madly, his 4 arms swirling with dense vital energy. Rip. The 4 divine kings' arms were incredibly nimble, lightly reaching out and landing on the chest of the 3-meter-tall burly man. This 3-meter-tall burly man was also an 11th rank complete legendary life. His expression changed drastically as he began to retreat explosively, only stopping after 100 meters. Swoosh! The figure of the 3-meter-tall burly man disappeared, rejoining the battle against the 4 divine kings. Were. Accompanied by the ferocious combat of the 4 divine kings and the gaunt old man with the other 4 powerhouses, their terrifying attacks had almost plowed through the entire summit of the heavenly mountain. They're too strong. How can the 4 divine kings be so strong? At the top of the summit, over 111th rank powerhouses, who had initially planned to get closer to the heavenly gate and perhaps sneak some benefits, but after seeing the exchange between the 4 divine kings and the other 5 powerhouses, didn't dare to approach. Anyone who dared approach the heavenly gate at this moment would become the target of the 4 divine kings and those 5 powerhouses. The outcome would almost be certain death. Not even a defense artifact could keep them alive. A defense artifact might block 99% of the attacks, but the residual shockwave penetration was enough to annihilate any of the myriad tribes' powerhouses. Damn it! At the central position close to the mountaintop, Ho Zhu of the prison tribe, wielding a blood-red long knife, was filled with reluctance. He was one of the few strong contenders from the myriad tribes who dared to bring a mysterious artifact into the fray. But Ho Zhu did not carry the strange object directly with him. His blood-colored long knife was placed inside a wooden box, and outsiders did not know what was inside. Originally, Ho Zhu had planned to make a great show with the blood-colored long knife when approaching the heavenly gate. Yet, at the moment, he could not even get close to the battlefield of the four divine kings and Bosun. At the mountain base, over 100,000 powerhouses from the myriad clans watched the battle between the four divine kings and the other five strong contenders in utter shock. In this two-dimensional world, they can exert such strength. Aren't the four divine kings too freakish? Thank goodness I came down from the mountain prematurely. Otherwise, I would have been gravely injured by the aftermath of their clash, if not dead. Alas, it seems I have no chance to enter the heavenly gate now. The four divine kings and those five contenders have already occupied the 6 spots for the opening of the heavenly gate. I can't possibly live for 70,000 years in this two-dimensional world. While watching the battle, an air of desperation began to surge in the hearts of many powerhouses of the myriad tribes. Even a small proportion of them directly extinguished their avatars. Since they were to suffer essential losses sooner or later, they might as well face it now. On the side of human civilization, Shen Yuandua and the other evolvers watched the battle under the heavenly gate with trepidation. Lord Shueyu, should we give up this opportunity for the opening of the heavenly gate? Shen Yuandua couldn't help but ask, truly frightened by the scene of the confrontation between the four divine kings and the other strong contenders. Let's wait and see, Lin Yuan said nonchalantly. So far, the four divine kings had yet to use their ultimate weapon. The fighting between the 6 contenders looked extremely brutal, but neither side had truly exerted their full power yet. The 5 11th rank complete legendary lives, led by the small and thin old man, had also not yet used a single mysterious artifact. Under the heavenly gate, huff, huff, 6 figures were fighting fiercely. The heavenly gate is about to materialize. You 4 join forces and hold him off. I'll go check out the heavenly gate. The small and thin old man quickly broke away, intending to head towards the heavenly gate. According to the information within the two-dimensional world, only the life that stands in front of the heavenly gate first after it opens can attempt to push it. This meant that it was not directly related to strength, even though the individual strength of the 4 divine kings was the strongest. As long as they did not stand in front of the heavenly gate, there was a chance that the small and thin old man could enter it. How dare you! The 4 divine kings instantly went mad. A dimly luminous light suddenly appeared between his 4 arms, and an aura that shook the soul momentarily covered the entire mountain summit. The 4 divine kings are using that ultimate weapon. The small and thin old man, who had originally intended to approach the heavenly gate, immediately returned. His actions just now were solely to provoke the 4 divine kings, forcing them to use their ultimate weapon prematurely. If the 4 divine kings had endured a little longer and allowed the small and thin old man to approach the heavenly gate, the other 4 11th rank complete legendary lives would probably have been unable to sit still. Boom! A terrifying aura suddenly exploded. The small and thin old man and the other 5 strong contenders also used their mysterious artifacts for the first time. In an instant, the battle beneath the heavenly gate escalated several levels, with the horrifying aftermath almost continuously eroding the height of the mountain summit. Ha 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 ha! You 5 useless things! You think you can deal with me by joining forces? The 4 divine kings waved their 4 arms, and every attack they launched shook the 5 11th rank complete legendary strength contenders. He's so strong. The small and thin old man looked troubled but did not back down. The heavenly gate was right before his eyes. Unless absolutely necessary, he was unwilling to give up. Now, the 4 divine kings were facing 5 at once and had the upper hand, but that didn't mean they could definitely beat them. Boom! The energy of the small and thin old man and the other 5 contenders surged once more, repelling the 4 divine kings' frenzied attacks. Let's go. We can't stay here any longer. Hurry, let's go. The 11th rank powerhouses standing on the summit began to rush towards the middle of the mountain. Chapter 747 Why does this line move on its own? Please subscribe. In front of the divine gateway, Lin Yuan approached for a closer observation. The 2 were less than half a meter apart. A black line of breath, seemingly substantial, prevented the 4 divine kings and other level 11 perfect legendary powerhouses from crossing. This sight was incredibly shocking, as even authoritarian beings like the 4 divine kings displayed looks of doubt and uncertainty, refraining from crossing the line. At the foot of the mountain, tens of thousands from the myriad tribes' powerhouses widened their eyes. Within their view of the scene, originally, the 4 divine kings and 5 other powerhouses were engaged in a fierce battle. But in the next moment, they all stopped and retreated swiftly. Then a figure appeared in front of the divine gateway. With a flick of his hand, he drew a line and left the message: "Those who cross this line shall die." What was most unbelievable was that the 4 divine kings and the 5 other powerhouses really didn't cross that thin line. They just let that suddenly emerging figure stand in front of the divine gateway. What's the situation now? Why aren't the 4 divine kings fighting anymore? That figure in front of the divine gateway, is he the mysterious powerhouse from Shuyu ancient country who emerged 200 years ago from human civilization, who suddenly made a move and deterred the 4 divine kings? So domineering, "Those who cross this line shall die"? He really doesn't regard the 4 divine kings at all? The myriad tribes' powerhouses rapidly discussed amongst themselves, currently situated on the mountainside, unable to sense the fluctuations of aura at the peak. They could only make judgments based on the reactions of the 4 divine kings and other powerhouses. At the mountaintop, the many 11th rank powerhouses who had not yet evacuated were watching Lin Yuan in absolute astonishment. He's too strong. How is this human civilization's blood rain so powerful? As soon as he took action, the 4 divine kings dared not continue. One by one, the 11 rank powerhouses got closer and sensed more, leading them to find the situation even more unbelievable. They had originally thought that among all the myriad tribes' powerhouses, with the refining of the supreme weapon, the 4 divine kings would be the strongest. Even other level 11 perfect legendary powerhouses, like the Slender Elder and 5 others, needed to join forces to barely contend. Then Lin Yuan suddenly appeared. Note that the outside world had deemed Lin Yuan among the 9 great powerhouse levels. But there was still a significant gap between him and the 4 divine kings, the Slender Elder and the other 5 powerhouses. The 4 divine kings felt hesitant as well. The intention of the skinny old man was clear. Would the 6 of them join forces to test Lin Yuan? Or simply leave right away? "Let's leave," the 4 divine kings said after a deep look at Lin Yuan, slowly retreating down the mountain. He truly sensed a sort of life-threatening danger from Lin Yuan, so he decided to simply give up this chance at the opening of the heavenly gate. For the 4 divine kings, there was no point in fighting Lin Yuan for this chance at the heavenly gate. As long as he survived, there would be another opportunity to enter the heavenly gate next time. Why did he previously engage in combat with the skinny old man and others? It was entirely because the 4 divine kings felt no pressure and was fairly confident in defeating them. But now, the 4 divine kings had not a shred of confidence, and even faced the possibility of being brought down here, naturally knowing how to choose. To leave. Upon seeing the movements of the 4 divine kings, the other 5 powerhouses glanced at each other and began to retreat as well. The 5 of them had already had severe difficulty dealing with the 4 divine kings, let alone facing Lin Yuan, who dared not even engage. "Couldn't believe none of us would be the ones to enter the heavenly gate," thought the skinny old man solemnly, his face tinged with sentimentality. The voluntary retreat of the 4 divine kings and the other 6 powerhouses caused tremors in the hearts of many watching from the myriad tribes. Retreating without fighting is a show of weakness. But are the 4 divine kings weak? How could they be weak? The mere pressure they emitted pushed 99% of the myriad tribes' powerhouses out of the mountain's waste. The residual impact from their previous wild engagement even caused many 11th rank powerhouses to feel numbness in their scalps, not daring to stay at the summit any longer. But now, the 4 divine kings and the other 6 had voluntarily retreated and given up the chance to enter the heavenly gate. The only possible explanation was that the human blood rain standing in front of the heavenly gate was beyond the limit of what the 4 divine kings and the others could handle. The 4 divine kings didn't even contemplate engaging. They just left like that? In front of the heavenly gate, Lin Yuan's attention was mostly on the gate, but he was still aware of the 4 divine kings and the other 6 powerhouses. The heavenly gate is right here, not even trying to probe? Lin Yuan was slightly astonished. After all, his statement of whoever crosses this line shall be killed was specifically intended to provoke the 4 divine kings and the others. The reason was that they carried many wondrous items on them. Lin Yuan stood in the personal world of the Supreme Being, looking up at Xia Qin Supreme Being seated on the throne. The Supreme Being asked me to spare the 4 divine kings for now. Lin Yuan thought to himself, guessing that Xia Qin Supreme Being might be negotiating with other ultimate beings. A moment later, a smile appeared on the face of Xia Qin Supreme Being seated on the throne. Ha 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 ha. This really made those old guys bleed heavily. Xia Qin Supreme Being began, sounding quite pleased. Bleed? Lin Yuan looked towards Xia Qin Supreme Being. Yes. Xia Qin Supreme Being nodded. How could they not pay a price to save their clan members? As he said this, Xia Qin Supreme Being looked at Lin Yuan with satisfaction. About the 4 divine kings and others, there's no need to kill them now. They'll give you 80% of the compensation. Okay. Lin Yuan immediately agreed. Xia Qin Supreme Being had only asked him to spare the 4 divine kings and the thin old man's lives and did not mention sparing their treasures. Lin Yuan could take all the treasures possessed by the 4 divine kings, the thin old man, and the other strong beings, then spare their lives. By the way, for that ultimate weapon embedded in the 4 divine kings' body, don't forcibly extract it, Xia Qin Supreme Being added. The one from the Star Alliance has agreed to trade for 2 ultimate weapons. Understood. Lin Yuan nodded. To Lin Yuan, the 4 divine kings' ultimate weapon was no different from ordinary treasures. Trading 1 for 2 was absolutely a great deal. 2-dimensional world. Atop the mountain, Lin Yuan's vigor surged, enveloping the entire mountain summit. The 4 divine kings, the thin old man, and the other 6 strong beings had completely lost their ability to resist. The numerous powerhouses of the myriad clans below the summit were in utter turmoil. The strength displayed by Lin Yuan was terrifyingly formidable, far surpassing the gap between the 4 divine kings and these Tier 10 and Tier 11 powerhouses. Why has this person from human civilization, Lord Shuyu, stopped attacking? Nonsense, it must be because the ultimate beings behind the 4 divine kings have reached out to the supreme being of the human civilization for negotiations. They speculated. Exactly, other special life forms avatars, even if they die in this 2-dimensional world, the Star Alliance wouldn't bother. But it's different for the 4 divine kings. He is their most hopeful candidate to become an ultimate. The myriad tribes' powerhouses were astonished internally, looking at Lin Yuan standing in the center of the summit, their souls trembling. If they had not been sure that those who descended into this 2-dimensional world were Tier 11 and below, they would even suspect that Lin Yuan was a supreme being. If he isn't a supreme being, how could he possibly suppress everything in this 2-dimensional world, growing at a speed far surpassing the 4 divine kings? A gap of 1 or 2 realms could still be comprehended. 3 or 4 realms were reluctantly acceptable. But the gap between Lin Yuan and the 4 divine kings was probably 10 or 20 realms. Many would believe it if he were called a supreme being. In the middle of the summit, Lin Yuan opened his eyes, looked toward the 4 divine kings, the thin old man, and the other 6 strong beings and said, "Hand over all your treasures, and you are free to leave." Hand over the treasures? The 4 divine kings and the others exchanged glances, slightly relieved inside. Although parting with their treasures was heart-wrenching, At least this avatar was preserved. The strongest weapon merged within my body. The 4 divine kings whispered softly. You may keep it. Lin Yuan glanced briefly at the other. This had also been specially instructed by Xia Qin's supreme being. The strongest weapon within the 4 divine kings was of little significance to Lin Yuan. Very soon, 6 powerhouses handed over all the extraordinary items they carried. Among them, the 4 divine kings had 4 extraordinary items, the thin old man had 5, and the other 4 collectively had 18. From this battle alone, Lin Yuan had acquired 27 extraordinary items, which, added to those he had collected over the past 300 years, brought the total to over 30. This total didn't even include what other supreme beings had paid Lin Yuan to spare the lives of the 4 divine kings and the other 6 powerhouses. All in all, as long as Lin Yuan could make it out of the two-dimensional world smoothly, his gain would reach an unprecedented level, amassing a wealth that an 11th rank powerhouse couldn't accumulate in 10 lifetimes. After storing all the extraordinary items in the mirror's inner space, Lin Yuan voluntarily suppressed his own aura, gradually dissipating the blood and force fields spreading over the entire summit. You may leave now. Lin Yuan turned around, standing afresh before the heavenly gate. From attacking the 4 divine kings and the other powerhouses to completely suppressing them, and receiving instructions from Xia Qin's supreme being, not much time had actually passed. Even now, the heavenly gate in front of him had not fully materialized. Are you a supreme being? The 4 divine kings suddenly asked before leaving. If Lin Yuan were a supreme being, he could somewhat accept the defeat more gracefully, as losing to a supreme being wasn't shameful. A supreme being? Lin Yuan shook his head. I am not. He was not only not a supreme being, but he wasn't even an 11th rank life. Not a supreme being. The 4 divine kings fell silent. Given Lin Yuan's capabilities, he seemed unlikely to lie, probably some hidden 11th rank evolver from human civilization. I will remember this battle forever, the 4 divine kings said deeply, looking at Lin Yuan intensely before departing. Chapter 751 Through the Ages. 8,000 words. Please subscribe. Can't push it. Lin Yuan frowned. Sar the Ovalfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The force he used to push the heavenly gate was not his full strength. But what was Lin Yuan's power? The 50th realm of the witch ancestor. And a witch ancestor of the 50th realm with each realm in complete perfection. Even if he used only a 10th, or even a 100th of his strength, it was enough to utterly suppress and thrash the 4 divine kings and other 11th rank complete legendary lives. And now he couldn't move the heavenly gate? There's a problem. Lin Yuan withdrew his hands, carefully observing the heavenly gate before him. The force he had just exerted was perhaps tens of thousands of times that of the native witch emperors and witch ancestors, yet he couldn't budge the heavenly gate at all. So, how did the native witch emperors and witch ancestors manage to open the heavenly gate, and then enter it in the past? Lin Yuan's thoughts diverged, and after pondering for a moment, he decided to try pushing the heavenly gate again. Placing his palms flat on the gate, Lin Yuan centered himself and quietly closed his eyes. Open for me. The originally calm Lin Yuan suddenly opened his eyes, a terrifying aura bursting forth instantly. The air around him nearly solidified, his potent blood energy surging like a vast ocean, making the entire mountaintop seem as if it were teetering on the brink, ready to collapse under the force of Lin Yuan's outburst. All-out effort. This was the first time in 200 years that Lin Yuan had gone all out. Since stepping into the 20th realm of the witch ancestor, Lin Yuan had never unleashed his full power because there had been no adversary worthy of such respect. Rumbling thunderously, the terrifying blood energy was boiling like scorching magma. Beneath the summit, many watching powerhouses from the myriad clans were trembling uncontrollably in their souls. The aura that Lin Yuan released at this moment, compared to his earlier scuffle with the 4 divine kings, was absolutely different, terrifying beyond measure. What kind of power is this? The human blood rain just suppressed the 4 divine kings and didn't even use his full strength. The mighty 4 divine kings and 6 other 11th rank perfect lives, not only crushed by a human powerhouse but also without forcing him to reveal his true methods? The shock among the myriad tribes' powerhouses can be imagined. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed that in this two-dimensional world that suppressed everything, a powerhouse could elevate their strength to such a level. And that it was a human evolver? Still can't push it open. To them, Lin Yuan felt even more majestic and imposing than the heavenly mountain beneath their feet, as if he were about to break the many constraints of the two-dimensional world and break free. A moment later, the aura emitted by Lin Yuan gradually retracted. Even after using the physical body divine ability strengthening, he still hadn't shaken the heavenly gate in the slightest, let alone opened it. After using the physical body divine ability strengthening, Lin Yuan would experience a brief period of weakness. Yet to the many myriad tribes' powerhouses at the mountainside, this so-called weakness was barely noticeable as he only temporarily fell from the Witch Ancestor 50 realm to the Witch Ancestor 45th realm. Search the novel Fire Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 752 Through the Ages, 8,000 words. Please subscribe. _2 And for those amongst the myriad tribes' powerhouses, there was no difference between the two. As for the main body outside the two-dimensional world, the Taiyin primordial spirit, it was not in a dangerous environment, and likewise it was unhindered. Still can't push it open? Lin Yuan's expression was silent as he stared at the heavenly gate before him, frowning in deep thought. If even with all his methods deployed, he couldn't open the heavenly gate, then which of the powerhouses from the myriad tribes within this two-dimensional world could? I am at the Witch Ancestor 50 realm, which is equivalent to the Witch Ancestor 60-70 realms of other powerhouses from myriad clans. Combined with the amplification from the physical body divine ability enhancement, my strength in the short term could probably rival that between Witch Ancestor 90 to 100 realms. Lin Yuan looked at the heavenly gate before him, thinking to himself, below the mountain peak, many powerhouses from the myriad tribes finally recovered from their shock. Soon, one of the powerhouses realized something. That was the heavenly gate before Lin Yuan. Was it still not pushed open? What does this mean? With the strength of the human blood rain, can't he push the heavenly gate open? Impossible. If even blood rain can't push open the heavenly gate, how did those witch emperors and witch ancestors enter it before? All the powerhouses from myriad tribes were in an uproar, although most of them had no relationship with entering the heavenly gate. But now, seeing that the heavenly gate, which had been seen as the hope for leaving the two-dimensional world for over 300 years, was nearly impossible to push open, their hearts couldn't help but swell with a sense of desolation. If the heavenly gate couldn't be opened, then what was the point of these myriad tribes' powerhouses madly cultivating and desperately enhancing their strength over these 300 years? Wouldn't their behavior of hunting everywhere for oddities be utterly laughable? If they collected all the oddities within the entire two-dimensional world, but couldn't take them out, wouldn't it be the same as garbage? As strong as the human blood rain is, if he can't open the heavenly gate, I might as well give up on this avatar. One after another, the powerhouses from the myriad tribes began to fade away within the two-dimensional world. Giving up on an avatar was equivalent to a fundamental loss, and no powerhouse was willing to bear it. But if there really was no hope of leaving, it might be a relief to give up earlier. At least they wouldn't have to continue worrying and fearing within the two-dimensional world. Sar the novel _Fire. With the strength of human civilization, to get those treasures back, they would have to start a full-scale war, which was almost hopeless. Even if they started a full-scale war, it would be a case of causing substantial damage to the enemy but suffering heavy losses themselves. absolutely meaningless. In the two-dimensional world, Lin Yuan stood in front of the heavenly gate, but chose not to continue trying. Since even utilizing the physical body divine ability enhancement couldn't move the heavenly gate, any further attempts would be futile. Could it be that this heavenly gate is specifically targeting me? Lin Yuan suddenly thought, a conjecture that seemed incredible but now needed consideration. On the side of the human civilization evolvers, Shenyuan Dua and the other 11th rank evolvers were equally puzzled as to why the heavenly gate hadn't been opened. Just then, a voice suddenly rang in their ears. Shenyuan Dua, come here a moment. Yes. Shenyuan Dua immediately realized that it was Lin Yuan calling her. She swiftly headed towards the heavenly gate. Lord Shueyu, before the heavenly gate. Shenyuan Dua bowed slightly to Lin Yuan with some restraint. Before this day, Shenyuan Dua certainly respected Lin Yuan, but it was merely respect. In her view, she was also an 11th rank life, and even the 5th tier of 11th rank life. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 753 Through the Ages, 8,000 words, please subscribe. _3 Even if Lin Yuan was stronger than her, the gap between them wouldn't be too large. But now, having witnessed Lin Yuan effortlessly defeating the 4 divine kings and other 11th rank perfect lives, as well as the earth-shattering aura he had just released. At this moment, Shenyuan Dua's attitude towards Lin Yuan had changed. It was no longer respect, but reverence, and he almost treated Lin Yuan like a half-supreme being. In Shenyuan Dua's view, Lin Yuan's strength in the two-dimensional world had already far exceeded the pinnacle that normal 11th rank life forms could achieve. Try to push the heavenly gate, Lin Yuan instructed. To confirm whether the heavenly gate selectively targeted him or not was simple. Just let other powerhouses push it as well. Okay. Shenyuan Dua did not doubt and walked to the front of the heavenly gate, starting to push it. Lord Shueyu, I can't push it, Shenyuan Dua immediately said. You can't push it either? Lin Yuan looked thoughtful. Next, Lin Yuan randomly selected several other powerhouses from the myriad tribes. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on N0 New 0. He had them all stand in front of the heavenly gate and try to push it open. The result was the same. They couldn't move it. Try with the natives of the two-dimensional world. After dozens of attempts, Lin Yuan confirmed it wasn't just him. Other powerhouses from the myriad clans couldn't open the heavenly gate either, so he decided to let the natives of the two-dimensional world have a try. On the mountainside, in a corner at the edge, Yen Fu, who had just entered the witch ancestor realm, was shivering under the unintentional release of aura by the numerous myriad tribes' powerhouses. Even so, Yen Fu felt his journey was absolutely worth it because, here, he witnessed a terrifying battle that had never occurred in past history. Especially that young man standing in front of the heavenly gate. His every move made Yen Fu feel an impulse to worship him like facing the vast universe. So strong, so strong. Even if all the witch ancestors who have ever existed were combined, they would not compare to a single hair of that powerhouse. Yen Fu thought, filled with shock. Suddenly, a voice came through. Come here for a moment. Yen Fu paused slightly, instinctively looking towards the mountain summit, to Lin Yuan standing in front of the heavenly gate, and found that he was looking at him. Me? Yen Fu was somewhat incredulous. Could it be that he, a mere ant, had attracted the attention of a powerhouse like Lin Yuan? Okay. For some reason, besides fear, a tinge of excitement rose in Yen Fu's heart. What an honor it was to stand before Lin Yuan, a powerhouse without precedent. Chapter 754 Through the Ages, 8,000 words, please subscribe. For the 12th rank supreme being could indeed withstand being pulled into white paper, but once they fell into it, they'd similarly be suppressed, barely able to display some extraordinary powers, much like those oddities. But that was all. There was still an immensely long way to go to break free from the suppression of the two-dimensional world. Luo River Gathering Area. After leaving the summit of Heavenly Mountain, Lin Yuan returned here. After which Ancestor 50 Realm, the difficulty of advancing further vastly exceeds that before the 50 realms, Lin Yuan thought to himself. This was also the goal he had set for himself, which is why he aimed to only cultivate up to which Ancestor 100th Realm before the next door to the Heavenly Realm opened. It took over 300 years to reach the which Ancestor 50th Realm, but the subsequent 10,000 years brought only an increase to the 100th Realm because the space for progress after the 50th Realm was too small. The difficulty from the 50th to the 11th Realm would likely exceed that from the 1st to the 50th Realm. Conventional seclusion doesn't have much effect, Lin Yuan thought to himself. In fact, even if I can't push open the heavenly gate, I still have a possibility to escape the two-dimensional world. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged. Supreme beings couldn't rescue anyone through white paper, but Lin Yuan, by using the door to the myriad realms, more precisely the physical body transit of the door to the myriad realms, could indeed leave this two-dimensional world. It only cost 50 strands of world-breaking origin force. But there was still a problem with doing so. That was, after ending the transit, when his Taiyang divine spirit returned to the main universe, would it still appear inside the two-dimensional world? If it did appear again, such corporeal transit would be meaningless because it would still be suppressed by the two-dimensional world. Moreover, the spirit will's transit method of the door to the myriad realms faced this same issue of whether it would still appear in the two-dimensional world upon return. Let's continue observing. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts. Unless absolutely necessary, Lin Yuan wouldn't easily resort to this method. Directly disappearing from within the two-dimensional world. Current signs indicate that the white paper squeezed into the universe might possess an independent will. At the very least, it seemed to be an entity similar to the spirit of the mysterious realm in Shenhuang's secret realm. Otherwise, how could one explain the altered difficulty of opening the heavenly gate after the arrival of the myriad tribes' powerhouses? Therefore, and outside the painting, these supreme beings couldn't influence the interior of the two-dimensional world either, equating to falling into a vicious cycle. While some supreme beings proposed to wait and see, perhaps there would be a change after the next opening of the heavenly gate, Xiaqin Supreme Being was still quite worried. What are your plans now? Xiaqin Supreme Being asked. Continue cultivating, waiting for the next opening of the heavenly gate, Lin Yuan said calmly. CTH Oval Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Good. Xiaqin Supreme Being nodded, sensing that Lin Yuan's mindset had not been affected at all, which was quite exceptional. Many strong individuals could persevere in the face of adversity. But to remain unyielding in the face of a hopeless or deadly situation was exceedingly difficult. Undoubtedly, the 300 years before the arrival of the myriad tribes' powerhouses in the two-dimensional world were the years of greatest strength improvement, already reaching the world's bottleneck. Even after another 10,000 years, the improvement in personal strength might not be as significant as in those first 300 years. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report so we can fix it as soon as possible.